Hey, let's start the show. Hey, let's start the show.
It's September 11th, 2014. Welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. I'm Will Smith. Seated directly to my left, Norman Chan. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right.
You have a big pile of stickers right there.
I have all our leftover stickers for people watching the video.
Yeah.
Right here. These are stickers that we made for Comic-Con and some that we made for PAX. And
Did you give away all the PAX stickers? Sorry.
I gave away all of the PAX stickers that I brought.
Okay.
Did you give away all the PAX stickers?
I gave away a bunch of PAX stickers. People didn't come up to me and ask for stickers, though. They know you as the sticker man.
Oh, we said that you come up to you and ask for stickers.
Maybe they're afraid of me. I don't know. I'm intimidating.
But about a month ago, I launched the Great Sticker Trade of 2014, where readers and listeners, podcast listeners, could send in a self-addressed stamped envelope, an SASE, and trade stickers. So today, I'm fulfilling the sticker trade. It's done. That's it. Sorry. Don't send any more envelopes.
Do you have enough stickers to fulfill the envelopes
we'll find out.
have?
I said while supplies last.
Did you keep them in the order in which they arrived,
I
or
will,
did you just have a big pile?
Everyone who sent in an envelope will get a sticker of some kind.
Okay.
I might have to go. I have the batch of old stickers also as an emergency.
Oh,
stash.
the last of the testicles.
The last of the testicles.
Okay.
There's only 3 of these guys.
I actually have more.
Okay.
I have more, but today I'm not going to lick any envelopes.
Okay.
That's a bad idea. But I'm going to
Get paper
open
cuts.
and start distributing stickers. And also for people watching, because typically it's 3 dudes talking. We'll show off some stickers right in this little
That
patch.
people
The
have sent
stuff
you.
that you've gotten.
The stuff that I've gotten.
Sweet.
What do you do with... Jeremy Williams, welcome to the show.
Oh.
Sorry.
Hi.
We just started talking.
Yeah, it's good.
What do you do with all this stuff that you get in the
I
mail from
collect it. I
people?
put it in a binder.
Really?
The scrapbooking.
Is this like Howard Hughes, where you're clipping your fingernails and putting them in there too, or is it, like what's going on here?
Allows me to identify the best fans.
Do you have a spot in your world where you put your stickers that you have that you want to keep? I have a wall against a shelf that I use as my sticker wall.
It's a Ziploc bag.
Oh no, but I mean,
the
you actually
stickers
stick them.
They go on things like electronics and
Sometimes electronics.
yeah, it depends how cool they are. Like a NASA sticker, it's gonna go somewhere.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've always been weird about stickers. I feel like when I use the sticker,
You got to commit.
that sticker is no good after it's been used the first time.
Right.
So like it's a big commitment, and I'm bad at that. So I usually just leave unstuck stickers in a drawer someplace, and then throw them out 5 or 6 years later. I'm like, this isn't cool anymore.
Not pro sticker.
This is why I don't have tattoos. Also, so
Tattoos are a little more permanent.
I'm much like you.
a little bit more permanent. I mean, it's the right level of neuroses, right? So huge news over the last week. Samsung,
Yes, huge news.
Google. I don't know what that was
It
referencing.
was an evil laugh, Norm.
Well, anticipating today is gonna be an Apple cast.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I was going to start with the Android stuff.
That did happen first. The Android stuff.
That-
Yeah,
Android stuff.
because
It did happen.
sequential order. Chloe Bananas is here, by the way, in case you hear barking. Just a fair warning. Last week, I assume at IFA.
IFA.
Yeah. Are you going to be able to talk into the microphone and hear when you're talking to the microphone when you're distracted by
Good.
the stickers? Okay. At IFA, there was a lot more Google Gear stuff, more watch news, including the release of the Moto 360. I haven't paid any attention at all to that stuff. So can you run down what's happened, Norm?
The big 2 things are at Chicago. In Chicago, at an event, Motorola, which is now owned by Lenovo, announced the new Moto X. It is just called the Moto X.
So this is the second gen Moto X, and the Moto X, was it a success? The first one,
I want to say yes.
like
I don't
it
know about
reviewed
sales.
well, right?
Remember, it was a big phone because at that point, Google was still making it. It was assembled in America. There's a huge ad about choosing your destiny or manifest destiny for phones or whatever. But it was also the Moto Maker, which is a website that lets people customize your phones, your Moto X's, the trim, the highlight, the back plate, and that carries on to the new Moto X. I think the first Moto X did sell well. It's a 720p phone.
It did or did not?
It did. It was received well. It was a 720p phone right in the cusp when people started, or companies started releasing 1080p phones. So if you cared about that, then that's I think that was one of the few reasons that people would chose like a Nexus 5 over the Moto X. But
because of the resolution.
Because of the resolution. But it was a 4.7-inch phone that felt like a 4-inch phone. If you held the Moto X, the original one, it felt a lot like your iPhone 5.
Small bezel, like all screen.
Yeah. Mostly screen. There's still the top and bottom, but the curve back, like most of it felt like a small phone. And the new one is a 5.2-inch phone with 1080p screen, with the Snapdragon 801 processor, 2.5 gigahertz, and also the same, it's very similar design, but it has a metal aluminum band all around the edge to make it look a little higher quality.
I think they're using that as an antenna too.
Yeah, they're also using it as an antenna with apparently smart software that will know where your hand is gripping it, so it won't try to send signals through that point.
That was a problem at once
for some companies.
It was just because you guys were holding your phones wrong, is what the company said.
And then you also can choose the backing of the phone. It can be plastic, it could be bamboo, it could be leather, and it will be available for later this year. It has also been seeded to reviewers and has been well reviewed.
It's got a curved back.
Is this higher resolution? This one,
1080p.
1080p. So it's a more comparable phone, and it still has all the same like always on voice stuff and the things.
And you can also customize the always on voice stuff this time. So you can say, as opposed to just okay Google, you can program it to respond to any voice command because it learns your voice.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. That's cool. And it uses some kind of sub-processor for that always on voice thing, so that the actual CPU is not actually on. That's cool.
So that came out. The 360 came out. The reviews on the 360 have been kind of all over the place from what I've seen. Some people really like it. Some people really dislike it. Some people just say it's kind of neat, like all the other Google Watches, but it's really huge.
Yeah. I thought everything I've read has said that it looks great, but it doesn't. It's still pretty. It's just Android Wear, and it's lacking because the 360 interface is not tailored to Android Wear. And in addition to that, there's still not a whole lot of customization that I guess the third parties can do to that interface.
Well, and I know that the firmware that a lot of those shipped with, I know I saw Ryan Whitwam talking about it, was really hard to get to update. Like getting the initial firmware to update to the second version of the firmware was like something that involved witchcraft and devilry of some kind. So I am just weirded out by the cutout on the bottom of that.
Yeah.
Like I understand why it's there. There has to be a spot for light sensors and all that stuff to be there. But it just looks weird to have a big enormous round bezel and then have just the very bottom sliver cut out where it's not screen.
Circle.
It's still a circle, but there's no screen
I know
there.
what you mean.
I don't like it being a circle. I think it being a circle.
Oh, really?
See,
the circle is a real turn on to me. Like this is the first time I've wanted to go Android. Is when
really?
I saw that phone.
I think circles. I like circle watches better than square watches.
I don't like the skeuomorphism. At that point, get a real watch. Get a mechanical watch.
I think you're right logically, but a circular screen is something I've never seen technologically.
As something that's novel.
Yes.
You wear on your wrist.
Yes.
Sure, but if the prerequisite is it being that big.
So just as a lover of technology, it's kind of a turn on, but not enough.
No, you were waiting.
I was waiting. I waited another week.
Is there anything else out of
You
IFA?
waited another week. The longest week ever. The longest week. No, let's move on to the thing that we're here to talk about today.
Okay, so there was a keynote yesterday yesterday for us, 2 days ago for you guys. Apple took over the Flint Theater in Cupertino, which is the place where they introduced the Mac and the iMac, and I guess that's it. It's a place of repute for Apple fans. And they rolled out the iPhones. They rolled out three things. I think one is the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus. That's one thing, I guess. That's the next generation of iPhone. We'll talk about that. They rolled out the watch, the Apple logo watch.
Yep.
It's a watch.
And then they rolled out the Apple logo payment plan.
Oh, you're considering that a third thing. just
I
as
think that
important.
there were 3 things that were announced. I think one of them is as expected, one of them was kind of boring, and one of them is going to be really enormous.
Interesting.
Guess which one is which.
I think, first of all, it's worth mentioning that this was a 2-hour event.
Oh, my goodness.
That went at 100 miles an hour.
Holy moly.
Yeah, they didn't do any of the payments, any of the progress check-in stuff that they usually do at the
Talk about
beginning.
new stores
No.
opening. There was no
They
pop
didn't-
song that played at the beginning.
They didn't talk about iOS 8 at all.
Right.
Like Phil Schiller talked about iOS 8 for maybe a minute and a half at the outside. They didn't talk about. They didn't really go over rehash anything that they talked about at the WWDC keynote or that has been publicly available. They made a couple of references to the fact that everybody knew how big these phones were going to be.
Yeah.
Like jokingly, like, hey, in case you didn't hear.
Yep.
Well, they did that with the iPhone 5 also. Like,
That's
you may
true.
have seen this before somewhere.
They didn't do that for the iPhone 4, if you recall.
I'm sorry, they did do that with the iPhone 4. That's what I'm talking about.
I thought they did it with the 5.
No, it was the 4 that was the leak phone, and then
Famously leaked phone.
leaked.
Yeah.
And Steve Jobs did go up and say,
That's right.
You may have seen this before.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Phone first,
Let's talk about the phone first.
or the more about the presentation, the setting,
I thought
the live stream.
The live stream was a disaster.
Oh my gosh.
This is why they don't live stream
The night
those
before,
events.
I was chatting with Norman Chan, and I said, Norman, I hope the live stream holds tomorrow.
How do you feeling, Jeremy? Let's set the context. How are you feeling, Jeremy? I'm nervous.
Well-
Now I know how my children feel like on December 24th.
That's right.
You can't go to sleep. He goes, oh man, why is it 10 a.m. already? And then
So I started to panic. I said, I hope the live stream holds. Norm says it's going to be fine.
it's gonna be fine.
They know
Tim
what
Cook
they're
talked
doing.
in the last earnings call about how the 20 million people watched the WWDC. So they've done all the math. They know how much bandwidth they need to allocate for
Yeah.
this.
It's bigger than League of Legends, guys.
And
I mean, it was a mess.
oh my god.
I mean, it was just weird.
So they
first,
said-
first the video comes up and it's interlaced. Like, did you guys notice
Yeah.
that?
Oh, yeah. Like all the vertical combing.
Yeah.
The comb filter stuff when they were doing the vertical scrolling.
Like
terrible.
Like 1992, and then there's this strange Asian translation.
A bunch of people got 2 languages.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't just I got the Mandarin language and Mandarin audio over, which is you
Yeah.
still heard the normal
Right.
the English, and then it was like you were the UN, and you
Right.
had the
Yeah,
you had the
you're putting-
earbud, and you had the translator explain everything. So a worldwide stream
What a
for
mess.
sure.
Yeah, it was-
It wasn't synced up. People were watching different buffered feeds.
Yeah, that's right.
You'd sometimes see the production company's
Color bars.
The title
color
bar, yeah,
the
bars and
slates.
tone.
It was like Apple Truck or something like that.
Yep, Apple Truck. Oh my God, Apple Truck announced.
Well, and then the site just apple.com went away for a while. You got access denied, 503 errors
Oh my.
when you tried to load the homepage. And then it came back, but every once in a while the video would just skip back randomly anywhere from an hour to 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So you'd be watching, they would be like, and now we're getting ready to unveil the new watch, and then boom, it would be right back to the beginning with Tim Cook coming on stage. Well, we've got a big slate of announcements for you today.
I can't tell you how many times I refreshed that page. It was a mess.
There was a report today about the reasons for that, and if they're looking at Apple.com's code, they had the way they set up their site apparently, and the way they set up their S3, the Amazon S3 server storage, led to that the problem.
I saw something about that. Like everything went through one file on S3.
Oh my God!
Something like
What
that.
a disaster!
Anyway.
Well, so the other thing is there were rumored attacks like DDoS attacks from terrorist organizations on some sites yesterday, not necessarily Apple.
Huh.
So anyway, it could have been multiple things. Regardless, that's why they don't stream iPhone and iPad announcements.
They were
generally.
doing-
Imagine if they opened it to any browser.
They were doing so well. The past few events have worked flawlessly. I hope this doesn't mean they're going to quit.
The any browser thing, as I understand it, is easy to. You just get a user agent spoofer and load it up, and then
I'm saying, imagine if they publicly did that and let
Yeah,
people any
just the
any
bandwidth.
chud do it.
Yeah.
How many more people would have
yeah,
tried to?
non-Mac owning chuds.
They had their own live vlog.
That
underneath
was
the feed,
cool. That was kind of
where
cool
they-
because
they you had the photos and the videos that they
Right.
showed immediately pop up.
But the benefit of that one was they weren't photos; they were the actual slides. And
Yes,
the actual
Yeah, the
slides
actual
in
images.
very low res, and also the actual videos
Yeah.
embedded, and tweets from celebrities.
Yeah.
Well, and reporters.
Katy Perry's pretty psyched about 128 gigs.
Is that what
Yeah.
she was?
She said that?
Wow.
Katy Perry's ready to go. I'm ready to go too.
That's right.
Yeah, director John True of the Justin Bieber movies said he wants that Apple Watch. He'd eat it up.
There you go. So, and then 2 hours later, closed with U2, who haven't been making music for a while apparently,
5 years.
but they negotiated a fascinating worldwide free distribution of their new album deal with Tim Cook on the stage.
It's Illuminati.
Right as we were watching, it was like of all the dumb things that executives and artists do at trade shows, the fake record negotiation deal is the stupidest, lamest thing. Well, okay, aside from Samsung's repeated kind of sexism and misogyny in their press conferences, it's the worst thing. It's just lame.
Anytime that they're phony on stage, it hurts. It's,
Ooh, that's
it's
an awesome
awkward.
sticker.
But you're right. That was the worst point of that whole performance. That whole event.
Hey guys, we'd like to give this to everybody. Well, we don't believe in free music. Bono had to get that one in. Yeah, U2 does not believe in giving music away for free.
You're gonna have to pay.
How much do you think? Oh my god.
Well, and you know what they did, right? They didn't make it so that anybody could go to iTunes and log in and get it. They made it so anyone who has an active iTunes account has that
already
album.
had it,
yeah, which means that it was a lame press conference stunt, but B, it was also a lame, let's have the biggest, just most distributed album of all time, because they're going to list it as 500 million copies
How much do you think it costs
distributed.
Apple?
I bet it starts 7 figures.
Who knows?
No.
9 figures.
$1 billion?
No.
I bet it's
No.
closer to $1 billion than $1 million.
Yes, it wasn't $1 million.
I bet it's multiple. I mean, what is U2 going to make from an album sale?
Who knows?
So
what-
they pay
make
him
more on
5
their-
times
they-
that.
Who can say what anybody makes these days? It's
Nobody makes money from album
Right.
sales these days. But
Yeah, they
U2
make
is
money from tours.
U2's different.
U2. The last time they released an album was long enough ago
Yeah.
that their last point of reference is probably much better
That's
than
true.
All right.
say Kanye.
What are the music websites saying about this? Do
Hey.
they care? Have they?
I'm sure they care.
I can tell you that the album's good.
Is it good?
Yeah, a lot of people agree.
Is it like old U2 or is it like new U2 that I haven't listened to in 10 years? 15.
It's not like new U2. It's more like, and it's just catchy. It's a great album. There's not a single.
I think it was
a lot of people say there's not a bad song on the album.
I think they got much less press releasing it this way as a stunt than they would have if they had built it up and done something like Chinese Democracy, the album, like in billboards. And
But they tried to do that with the last U2 album and it didn't.
but
it
it's
didn't.
been 5 years.
Well, fair enough.
All right, let's talk about the phones.
Okay. iPhone 6, iPhone 6 Plus, 4.7, 5.5 inch screens.
Yep.
Big
As
phones.
expected.
Yeah, as expected.
Almost everything was as expected, which was maybe why they kind of blew through it.
I felt that they gave it the appropriate amount of time.
Yeah, I know. I did too. Especially given all it had to be covered.
Ooh, that's really cool.
But the actual machining of the sides of the phones, I don't think we'd seen that before.
I'm
Unless, through leaks.
Oh, had that been leaked?
Some
The
of that
curved
stuff had
sides?
been leaked.
Not
yeah.
only the curved sides, but the styling on the back,
Oh, okay.
the trim around the top and the bottom. That stuff had been leaked.
I'm not super keen on the trim. I want to see it in person because I feel like maybe this isn't something that's going to photograph well because of those curves and the reflections that they pick up. But I did not think that it looked.
Would you like to hold one?
Oh, did you
I would
print-
like
did
to
you
hold
print
one.
box?
Yes, this is the best thing ever.
Nice.
Oh my goodness.
I left my tape at home, so I
Wow,
couldn't do the same thing.
This is awesome. So okay, tell the story about this, Jeremy.
There's no story. This
We'll
thing
give a short video.
They're on
There's
Thingiverse.
There's Thingiverse. So yesterday after the event, somebody posted the iPhone 6 Plus to Thingiverse, and I just sized it down appropriately.
Do you have your
for
iPhone
that
5?
Yeah.
Let's do a live
you go.
comparison right now.
It's a lot thinner.
All right. Okay. So
Can you
here's
hold-
the
hand me the
iPhone
Plus?
5. Yeah, and here's
Oh my god!
phone.
Don't break it.
I have a good thing. I have a camera here set up.
Yeah, that's right.
It's funny. It's about the same size as your OnePlus One.
it's
It's a
thinner.
little tiny bit bigger and a
supposed to
little
be
bit thinner.
So here's the 5S, and here's the 6 through scale. All right, thinner. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thinner.
they're both thinner, but that one's slightly thinner than the Plus.
I've
And
got
then can you do the full The full hand,
Uh,
the thumb,
I don't think I will use this new shortcut, but
the double tap.
I also can't reach the message icon.
Well, we should talk about that shortcut next.
Yeah, so the shortcut, one of the things that they introduced, because for a long time Apple has said, hey, I want to see if I can. So the 6, I can almost reach the whole thing with my finger.
Yeah, pretty much
I can
almost.
get all the way. I can't hit the camera icon in the top left corner, but I could stretch and hit everything else.
Yep.
The 6 Plus, there's no way you can reach any of the top 2 rows of icons, basically, if you're holding it on the bottom corner.
The warping on the bottom of your print makes it look like the
Like it's fancy.
like it's beveled
I know,
up, but
I
it's
know.
not. It's gonna be flat.
That's my 3D printer doing some industrial design.
That's the only complaint. Well, we'll talk about that stuff later. But
In terms of the actual physical design, to describe it, I'm sure everyone's seen pictures, but it's departure from the iPhone 4 and 5. It's no longer the Leica style metal chamfered edge around the corner. Chamfered actually only was in the 5. The metal band, and you can't stand it up. My biggest disappointment. You're not going to be able to stand it up.
I never do
I
that.
love.
Do you do that?
I do
Yes.
it all. I do it for FaceTime.
Stand
I
it
put
up
it
on
the
the
dining room
side.
table and the
Stand it up. It's
baby
very
FaceTime from my
monolithic.
parents.
Yeah.
It's very 2001.
I never do that.
But the side FaceTime on the dining room table is awesome for FaceTiming baby to grandparents.
Yeah, I bet.
Great.
The design style, that curved style, everything is kind of like Futurama curvy now. I mean, the watch.
It's the first iPhone.
It's all
had that,
bubbly,
right?
yeah.
The first iPhone was
yeah.
rounded.
Yes.
But it had a flat top. I don't like. I'm worried about the curved edge on the glass and the hits. Can I see them both, please? And the way that thing's going to take hits, because there's way more glass exposed on the edges than there is even now, which is too much.
And it's not sapphire.
And it's not sapphire glass. And even if it was sapphire glass, that kind of a side lateral hit, it's not necessarily super strong. It's strong. The sapphire glass is strong against scratches, but not necessarily impacts on the side.
So, 2 screen sizes. What are the resolutions, and how do they compare to what people anticipated?
So the big one is 1080p.
Boo!
What's your issue? It's like it's still ridiculous pixel density.
It's nothing special. Like, this is 1080p.
Yeah, but why? If your eye can't tell the difference between that and something else, why does higher pixel density matter? Do you need to swing your dick around that much?
The high resolution was for the point multiplier.
Oh yeah, but they've ditched the point multiplier because they've fixed the API.
Scaling
so
is gonna be so.
apps can
I
scale.
don't
So
think
fucked.
so. There's clearly a point. There's clearly a point after which it becomes less noticeable.
The dithering?
Yeah. So the question is, now that we're at 400 DPI, is any kind of
401.
scaling? If they do scaling as best they can, is it going to be acceptable? I think so.
So I think the
it's like-
standard app's going to be for the 4.7. For the 5, you got to scale down, or the app will either actually physically pixel per pixel scale down, or do a resizing, like with the 4 and the 5.
You're thinking about it in the old way that apps are drawn.
Well,
on
the
the
old way
screen.
the apps are drawn, they actually pull out. Like the 4 to the 5, like if it's a row of a list, you get 3 more items on the list.
I'm
And they're
not
all-
talking about that. I'm talking about going from retina to non-retina.
I'm not talking about okay. Yes, there'll be a different scaler, but
yeah.
it's not going to be like when someone designs an image, for example, and your image is 400 by 400 pixels wide. It's going to be either stretched or compressed.
I don't understand.
one or the
Like
other.
when you're using it as a button.
No, if there's a game graphic and it's
Okay.
supposed to be 400 pixels by 400,
You're
that's what you
saying the
design.
pixels aren't going to be one to one.
They're not going to be 1-to-1.
Right.
Yes.
But however,
And they will be scaled in some
The
way.
thing that the new API allows for, as I understand it, is a variable canvas size, similar to the way Android works, so that it knows you put your window chrome around whatever you have on screen, and then it adjusts the canvas size to suit the phone.
Sure, and like and your bars, all your UI is gonna be the same, and the spacing might be a little different because you'll have more spacing on the bigger phone and less spacing on the smaller phone.
Yeah.
But actual graphics, raster graphics, which are still used, like vectors are fine. Text and vectors are gonna look great. Raster graphics will be scaled and websites. An image on a website will be scaled to one size or another.
I'm going to reserve judgment. I think Apple cares about what you're talking about even more than I do.
And they mention it, but very little. They said we'll have a scaler that will scale things up so websites will look great.
I will tell you,
That's exactly what they did.
Did they do that?
They said
he
websites
didn't,
will
he
look
didn't do
great.
the arm swing, but everything
Websites
else.
will look great. And they didn't say it was a software scaler or a hardware scaler.
He said it was a PC capable level scaler,
PC capable,
which could mean anything.
What in the phone isn't PC scale?
It's the it's the thing that Apple does, where they
So-
say something that sounds like it's a real thing, but it's not. It's something they just made up.
When you're talking about the jump from the 4 to the 5, the point scaling was exactly the same because we're talking about only an extension in the horizontal or vertical pixels. And so for most applications that are like list-based, like Twitter, Facebook, it was very easy in the Chrome to just extend the Chrome and show you more content.
Yeah, yeah.
You mean extend the canvas?
Extend the
and
canvas
move
and show more
Chrome down.
content.
Yes,
that is no problem at all. With the pixel density of the 4.7 of the iPhone 6 being the same pixel density as the 5, people are going to design for, and same aspect ratio, I think most developers are going to design for the 4.7. Ideally, things look best on the 4.7, and then they'll get scaled down on the 5. And then on the 6 Plus, it will have to get scaled up to a different pixel density.
I think that you need to watch the WWDC talk.
I know exactly how that canvassing stretching works. It's just like
It's not
resizing
stretching,
a window.
it's giving it more space to
It's like
show.
resizing a window.
It is similar to resizing
You're right,
a window.
but I'm talking about the actual content on the inside, not text. I'm talking about raster graphics. You can't stretch that because that's not Chrome.
Okay, we're not going to get anywhere on this. So I'm
Right.
going to move on.
Well, I feel like
Are these the same aspect ratio?
They're all 16
They're all
by
16
9.
by 9.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that they're both sRGB, full sRGB screens, which I think is new for the phone, but was in the iPad Air, right?
Is this the
Color-
higher contrast ratio?
The contrast and color
Yeah.
representation. I like that's one of those features that I like having. It's lovely to have on my phone. It's much less important than on my laptop and my tablet. It's kind of the way I look at it. They talked a lot about camera stuff. There was a ton of camera talk. And it's worth mentioning the two phones, it seems like, are the same. Like we don't know about clock speeds and stuff like that at this point. That'll come out when we actually get hardware and people can run benchmarks. But same with one exception, two exceptions. The screen's different, obviously, and the camera on the Plus has optical image stabilization. Whereas on the just vanilla 6, it just uses the same digital stabilization that we've had for years.
No, I think that it's a better stabilization.
It's
is.
improved digital stabilization, but no actual hardware
Right.
to stabilize the camera.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas on the Plus, the actual camera moves.
Yes, which
laterally.
LG phones have you had, and I'm sure they use the same Sony build that Apple's are sourcing from Sony again.
And how have those
Yeah.
tested out?
Okay. They're good for video.
Yeah, I guess.
low light.
But there's also some software stuff going on with their video stabilization now. They were showing off some skateboard videos, and it looked extremely steady.
Well,
I am not going to trust anything that they show on stage as being.
Oh no, they do a good
representative.
job with that. Like all the photos they give are truly untouched. And
Oh, I know
the
they're
videos-
untouched, but they're like the perfect scenario.
Yes.
yeah,
that's
you
true.
set something up and you spend all day getting that shot, and it's going to look amazing.
Shot by what's his name? Kate Winslet's husband,
bastard.
Sam Mendes.
Chloe, be quiet. Sorry, the dog's barking.
The optical image stabilization was almost enough to make me want to go with the 6. But
Plus.
Sorry, with the Plus.
And this is 6 plus PLUS, not the letter
the
plus
symbol.
that some people had thought it would be.
That was because that's the only difference besides the screen size. But I don't think it's going to be enough for me.
Are you both on board now with 4.7 and 5.5? Is 4 no longer the
I
narrow phone?
I am skeptical about larger phone.
This is we were thinking that the 4.7, because there is no more 4-inch phone that has the latest hardware,
Right.
and camera and processor, and they made a big deal with the 5 and the 5S, saying that the thumb, Phil Schiller came up and said you got to be able to use it with one hand.
That was
And-
a hole that they dug for themselves on the stage that
Yes.
day. Because I mean, at this point, you have to look at what's happened. They have to be looking at the market. And in the 80s, Apple would have said, nope, fuck it, we're staying with 4. This is the size phones should be. And they would have ridden that all the way into the ground.
I think they should have done that.
What?
And it's made a good,
Why do you say that?
Because I think there's a real value to a phone that size that you think
Oh,
of it.
come on. This is not that different. I mean, granted, it's bigger, but it's thinner, and it's not that much bigger.
I think
they're responding to the market.
So yeah, I think they're responding to market, and I think they were looking maybe at not this year, but 2 years down the line, when two things are going to happen. The processors and the screens are going to keep getting bigger and higher resolution and need more power, and the amount of battery that they could pack into a thin 4-inch phone was two things happened to make this change. One is that the amount of battery they could pack into a 4-inch phone was going to peak at some point, and two, the people are buying huge ass phones from their competition, and if they don't adjust to that, then eventually they'll have OS 7 and the Macintosh again, and you know, I don't think Apple wants to be in that place again.
And I think that you wait 2 years, not next cycle, the S cycle, but wait 2 years, and they're going to bring a mini, and they're going to say they've done. And I think they're going to have. I think that people are going to want that 4-inch size or something that is just. I think the iPhone is great.
The 6.
The iPhone 5 is great. The 5 and the 5S is great. Is this optimal size where it's great for this list style content reading.
Yep.
With which many apps are programmed for. You don't have a ton of icons around the edges, menus to slide in from the side.
It's just content.
It is just content, and there's a lot to say for a device that you carry, your smartphone being used for that type of content consumption. And this form factor with the 5, I think, was a really good point for that.
Can I see the 6 Plus again? The mock-up?
And I think they're going to go back, and when they can get good batteries in the 5 again, in that size, in 2 years, they're going to bring an iPhone mini. And I think...
that wouldn't surprise me.
And I think one of the reasons that they didn't do 3 things now is because Apple Apple gets enough attention that, like, for example, can either of you name all the Galaxy phones?
No, I have no idea.
Dude.
No. I mean, there's Galaxy Note, and the Galaxy Alpha, Galaxy Edge, and
with increased product diversity comes increased sales, is Samsung's mantra.
Yes, and I think Apple will follow that, but just has no need to rush to that.
Well,
because
this is still available. To be clear,
sure.
In fact, there's 2. There's the 5C and there's the 5S. And maybe you're right. Maybe next year the 5S will be the low end phone will get the new processor, but it'll stay this size.
Well, the more likely thing is that the 6, a low memory config 6, will be the low end phone because they'll want the bigger screens. Here's the thing: a massive amount of sales happen in the $0 down and $99 down areas, and if they can get this size phone at that price.
You mean that size phone?
That size phone at that price. Then that's a super compelling. Then that lets them approach more of the market that they're not currently hitting because they only sell a 4.4
Apple
inch phone.
They want to make money, and
really,
they want to make
fascinating
a ton of money. Product diversity gets them there. The way the other companies rush to product diversity with spamming the market with things that will fail and trying things, and that's a valid strategy. It has worked for some companies, and you got to experiment.
They let people find a niche.
Then that works for them. Apple wants to make sure that everything they release sells a ton, and they don't want to crowd the market too much, or their own shelves too much. So you get your. It's just like the iPad. Why we have 2 sizes of the iPad, and maybe 3 sizes by the end of this year. They ease the consumers into it.
Okay, so CPU is the new A8. It's a small increment to the A7, smaller process size. So they're doing a lot more transistors, a lot more capability, presumably.
Twice as many transistors.
In
2 billion
much smaller space. Jeremy, you were really paying attention yesterday, despite all the stream problems.
Yeah, I did my best.
At the end of the day, the thing that matters there is that they're using a smaller process size, which will be more power efficient, and will prevent them from will help with battery life. The one thing that I do believe that they've been good about over the years is battery life claims. Their battery life stuff is usually pretty good. It's better than anyone else.
Yeah.
One thing
in terms of claims,
a public service announcement: if you bought an iPhone 5 at launch, you may be eligible for a battery replacement.
My wife is,
and my housemate is
Yep.
as well. So if you are looking to buy a 6, go make an appointment to the Apple Store. They need you to make an appointment because everyone's doing this. And get your batteries. Check on their website first. Google iPhone 5 battery replacement warranty, and you can type in your serial number, see if you qualify. And if you qualify, you can get a new battery for your 5 before you sell it off.
do they give you a new battery or a new phone?
They
They
do not
take
know.
your phone, they take it apart, they put a new battery in it.
So you have to go and then come back.
You have to hang out.
Oh, that sucks.
You're not going to get a refurb phone.
It just sucks that you have to wait for 2 hours without a phone.
You know,
Well, a new battery.
fresh battery. It's like a new phone at that
A
point.
lot of people are still keeping their 5s. It's still a perfectly good
That's
phone.
true. I mean,
Why not get a new battery after 2 years?
oh, absolutely. It's much easier than doing it yourself.
And also having had shitty battery for 2 years.
Well, the shitty battery on Gina's phone just started in the last 4 months. It basically got to a point where it was fine, and then it reaches 30% and just turns off.
Yes, that's what people have said.
But that reaching 30% and turning off thing is relatively new. I thought she was doing something wrong with her phone.
I did too.
And I went through the whole thing where I was like troubleshooting all of the background apps and stuff.
Yep.
Before finally I was like, no, I think it did it to me. I was like, no, this seems like it's something actually wrong. And then a week later they announced the thing. So, should we talk about the memory configurations? Because this is something new.
You mean the storage capacity?
Storage capacity.
Yeah.
So previously you had a 16 gig model, a 32 gig model, a 64 gig model.
True.
They were $200, $300, and $400 on contract respectively, and I think $500, $607 off. We don't know what the off-contract prices. I don't know what the off-contract prices are. They may have announced that since.
I imagine it'll be
since
exactly
then.
the same as the past couple of years. Add $100 for the 6 Plus.
However, the thing that changed this year is that they are doing 16 gig, 64 gig, and 128 gig.
Whoa.
That makes 16 gigs so unappealing.
Well,
So it makes the sweet spot the 6 with the 64 gigs
I think so.
for $300 on contract.
Yeah, I mean I don't have. I think it's awesome that they're doubling the capacity on the 2 higher end models. I think it's really skeezy that the base level for the good phone is only 16 gigs, given what 32 gigs of flash memory cost in the volumes at which Apple buys it. It makes very little sense. It is super unfriendly to people who buy phones.
That it matters more to you than it does to some people. You are
16 is very little.
No, I'm with you on that. All of us agree. However, there's a lot of people out there for whom 16 gigs is more than they'll ever
If
use.
you're taking 8 megapixel
Yes.
photos,
no.
and high speed video,
It's
Here-
all,
here's how I would
it's
make the
all
argument.
going into iCloud now.
But I would
They're
make the
streaming-
argument-
They're streaming all their music, all their movies, and they have no apps.
But I would make that argument that those people don't clean out their phones as
Yeah.
frequently and their photos.
and have no idea how to do it when
And-
the time comes.
And even though it might be backed up on their local
That's true.
iPhoto, they just run out of space.
Yeah, but 16 gigs is a lot if you're
Not-
just talking about photos and videos.
No.
Yeah.
It goes really
Even-
fast, dude.
I'm telling
The
you.
real crime is the 8 gig
I've
5S
seen it.
and 5C models. I mean, those are offensive at this point.
Why?
The $0 phone and the $99 phone
Yeah.
are 8 gig models.
Even
I
the
think
5S is 8 gigs.
the 5S
really?
might be 16.
No, 5S is
Did they
16.
lower them?
Only the 5C is 8 gigs.
I just disagree. I think for some people out there, it's not going to be a problem.
I think I can't imagine. Oh, that's nice. A wax imprint on your used words. I just can't imagine buying a 16 gig phone.
Of course
for
not.
$200.
Of course not.
For $200
I
plus a
couldn't.
contract.
You couldn't imagine buying one for any amount of money. You need more storage than that. You're Will Smith.
No, it has nothing to do with that. It's because I take pictures. I mean,
Yes.
that's all there is to it. My phone is typically. I mean, I can tell you, I probably have 23 gigs free on the phone right now. But if I go a week and a half without copying photos off, then I will not have 23 gigs left because I take a lot of fucking pictures, and they're all bad. Just
Yeah.
to be clear.
Yes.
Especially with the new. I guess only the 5 has a system that you take
The rapid shot?
The rapid shot.
Yeah, the 5S has that.
Disappointed. No raw photos.
Oh,
Really?
come on.
Yeah, disappointed.
All right.
Disappointed. No 4K video.
Why do you want 4K video?
What are you doing
It looks
with that?
fantastic.
Come on.
YouTube supports 4K, and you get to crop.
Yeah, but what monitor supports 4K?
Do you know what the editing process is like for what you have to edit 4K right now? If
A
you
good
want to do
PC
the
with
crop,
Premiere.
a good PC with Premiere.
Actually, I did 4K on this MacBook.
How long did it take?
Thought it was a time lapse 4K video, which is just 4K video, and I just scaled to 1080.
Norm wants a 4K.
And exported.
Okay.
You want a 4K screen on your phone.
Well, you'll be able to get
That's
that from
when you're gonna
Nokia
be
next
happy.
year for your Windows phone. You should switch up again. I just don't think there's any place to put 4K.
I bet if they put 4K, if they had a 4K, people would be very excited about a 4K camera.
No, because they wouldn't let you run it at 1080p, and then you'd have an
I'm sorry.
enormous amount of space on your camera.
This phone
for
is still
nothing.
barely a 720p phone. 750p.
Do you-
There's no point putting 4K video on a 750p phone.
Wow, you're if you
No
put a
point.
mustache on, you'd be like evil Gary Whitta.
No point. No point.
But what he's expressing here is honest. And we appreciate that. And it's also the problem with all of these announcements is everybody now expects so much.
No, it's not that. It's that we're into the race to the bottom with specs, the same thing that destroyed the PC industry. People are more interested in getting a quad-core phone when they don't understand that means they need to have an enormous-ass battery and all the problems that come with that. So, you know...
I've had quad-core phones for...
If you can't see the difference on the screen, why does more resolution matter?
Well, if the screen is the only place you're going to use your photos, then and your video, then okay.
I'm not going to only use my photos and video. It shoots 1080p video. I watch video on the TV or on my monitor and my computer, mostly on the TV. And in reality, most video you shoot,
looks better.
No one watches. It just ends up as shit you have to store on a hard drive someplace.
It genuinely looks
You
better.
don't edit it into a movie trailer using iMovie?
Never. I've never done that. Have you done that?
No.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't default option, if the option was there,
Like everything you shot got turned into one?
Oh no, I'm saying
he's
if
talking
the
about
option
4K.
4K video
gotcha,
was an option. Like if default was 1080 30, now they have 1080 60. But
You're serious? You're not just like...
no, I shoot
Reason?
4K video on this.
Really?
All my videos are shot 4K, and all my time lapses I've shot are 4K.
Why don't you post them in 4K then?
I do. They're on YouTube in 4K.
Wow. And you edit them on that laptop?
The ones I've edited, yes, on this laptop. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Okay. Yeah, 1080p takes way too long to use on my laptop, which is, I guess, a year older, but, you know, whatever. The updated radio, so Wi-Fi and LTE. It supports AC now, which is nice if you have an AC router, but probably not really important for any real reason other than it won't bring all your other stuff down to slower speeds when you connect to your AC router. And the LTE, they're using the new version of LTE, which supports up to 150 megabits a second. But more importantly, they're going to support voice over LTE on the new chipset, which is actually, and they probably have the lift to get the carriers to actually turn it on.
So that's going to make me sound better to
That
the person I'm speaking to?
Two things. It means your calls will sound better because you'll have, instead of using, on most phones, I think you're using like an old version of the GSM codec for this now 15 years old to do voice compression, so things sound bad. The other thing that's changed is that you'll be able to do, even on carriers that don't currently support simultaneous voice and data, you'll be able to do simultaneous voice and data.
Oh, that's nice.
Because the voice calls are just voice calls.
So
they're not
Verizon.
are just data calls.
But does it
and
actually
Sprint.
sound as good as, say, like FaceTime audio or Skype?
It should be comparable. I don't know what the codec is.
That's huge for
Yeah.
me. And is it like full duplex?
Yeah, it's a real phone
This is a game changer. Why didn't they make a big deal out of that?
because the carriers are going to drag their feet rolling it out, and it'll probably be in major markets at the end of this year, and then
It's going to help anyone else who has voice over LTE and all their phones.
That's exactly right. Assuming they haven't done some sort of skeezy exclusivity deal.
That would be real skeezy.
Now the question is the voice over LTE going to come out of your minutes or out of your data plan? And that remains to be seen. And my hunch is it'll be carrier by carrier basis.
That's lame.
So,
Who's minutes?
well, everybody has infinite minutes now, so it's in the carrier's interest to take it out of your data plan. So guess what it's going to come out of, guys?
Ooh, thanks, thank goodness for unlimited data.
Yeah. You probably won't be able to use voice over LTE because they'll grandfather that out.
They also announced some tech where they can make your cell phone calls over Wi-Fi, and then that's if you have a strong Wi-Fi signal.
So T-Mobile and like different phones and different carriers have done that at different times over the years with varying results.
But then the idea is you can leave the Wi-Fi zone and it transitions seamlessly.
So have you ever been, for example, streaming a podcast and you leave your house and you get in your car?
Yeah. Wi-Fi goes to one bar and it drops
and
out.
the podcast stops.
Yeah.
And then you have to press play again when it switches over to cell. I'm not real confident that they're able to execute this description of what's happening.
Yeah. But that's the promise.
That's the promise. The Wi-Fi calls. So at different times, Norm and I, when we worked in the basement, the whiskey basement, we had a bunch of microcells, which are basically cellular repeaters that work over Ethernet, over the internet. And those things were really super unreliable and crappy, mainly because even though we had a really good internet connection, it just wasn't as good as packet switched data over a even bad cellular connection. It wasn't as reliable, so calls had droppy bits and crackly noise and all sorts of weird stuff. Remains to be seen how this will work in the real world.
Yeah,
is the upshot.
that's true.
The
Still,
voice over LTE is very exciting.
Even if the transition doesn't work well, there's plenty of people, especially in the Bay Area, that have poor cell service at home that would love to be able to make calls on
everywhere.
Wi-Fi.
Everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
to take people who say you live in a rural area and you have, shitty DSL, but you're in a you have a Wi-Fi access point at
Right.
home and bad cell service. That would be great. I would love people to take calls over Wi-Fi, even though I'm not on
So
on cell.
Yeah.
The big question is, Apple's reliability with iMessage has been kind of crappy. I presume that this is going to have some sort of an Apple component. You're making a lot of crinkling paper noises, Norm. So we'll see.
you need a mute stump button.
If only we had a stomp button, that would be amazing. It remains to be seen if Apple can keep a service that has the uptime required for phone calls over Wi-Fi when they haven't really been able to do that with iMessage. I mean, they don't have a good track record on that stuff.
Well, come on, man. They're FaceTime. I've
3
never.
years.
Yeah, no, iMessage has gone down plenty of times, but FaceTime's been fine.
Nobody fucking uses FaceTime compared to iMessage. If I'm going to have something not work, iMessage is the thing to work,
That's
and
true.
FaceTime is the thing to not work. And also, FaceTime didn't work last Christmas morning.
Oh, bitterness.
That's actually a high demand time for
That's
FaceTime,
a
I
huge
imagine.
time for FaceTime because everybody's sitting in their different living
True.
rooms, and you want to share memories. Couple of other small things. They updated the coprocessor, the movement coprocessor, the M8. Didn't really say what was in there that's new, aside from a newly designed gyroscope. Presumably that will fix the level problem that the 5S has. If you ever used your 5S level to level something that was important, you'll probably realize that you needed to redo it almost immediately because it was 2 degrees off.
What
they
apps
added
have you used that you have used the coprocessor? on your iPhone
I have a
5S?
if you have Fitbit or Jawbone or any of that stuff, then you don't have to wear a wristband because that stuff all will work on your phone now. Like that's what I've used the coprocessor for, and it's kind of interesting because when you load like Runkeeper or something, it knows without having to do anything what your last 7 days worth of motion activity were, which I think is kind of neat. And then they also have added a barometer, so you can tell altitude.
That's right. Air pressure.
I'm interested in that mainly because I think that there will be interesting apps where developers, like the National Weather Service, could conceivably have this massive distributed barometer in 10 years where they can see what the air pressure is over massive geographical areas if people opt into giving them their barometer data.
There was some health Fitbit style device that was used with this earthquake that happened a couple weeks ago.
Oh.
Where all of everyone's data was used by the company to sort of track the movement of the aftershock, or not the actual earthquake shock.
So they saw when it was Jawbone ups, people were wearing them to sleep.
Right.
And they were able to look and see, 95% of people woke up at this period of time, which is when that aftershock hit them, presumably, based on their location.
Oh, I thought it was they actually sensed the movement.
No.
of
They
the
saw
device.
the people
saw
waking
people
up.
That's different. All right.
I think having a bunch of the only big sensor item that's not exposed in phones now, with the addition of the barometer, which is kind of a dumb thing to add on one level, but also will end up being useful ultimately, is thermometers. We don't really have thermometers on phones because we leave them in our pocket and they're not going to get an accurate reading.
Oh man, speaking of thermometers, there's a company called FLIR, FLIR, that released a product.
The
just got
infrared
released
camera.
About a month ago, the FLIR 1, which is an infrared camera for the iPhone 5
And 5S.
and 5S.
Infrared camera.
Not the 6 or 6 Plus, though.
That's unfortunate.
Did you order one?
No.
Okay.
Adam has one.
Oh, he does?
Yes.
Interesting.
He will let us use it.
Cool.
You mean thermometer for the person or for the
For the ambient
for the
air around, yeah.
Well, that's something they can probably track with GPS and weather.
Well, kind of, yeah. But, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is if you live in tornado country, there are really easy ways to tell that there's a tornado about to happen or that there's a high likelihood of a tornado happening based on the barometric pressure dropping super rapidly relative to the areas around you, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a distributed network of relatively sensitive barometric pressure sensors and you can aggregate that data geographically, then all of a sudden the weathermen are going to go bonkers for it.
Look at you trying to save people.
I'm trying to make the world a better place, man.
That's nice.
It's a refreshing change.
Through technology.
That's pretty much it. So the phones are out next Friday.
Oh, boy.
Pre-orders start this Friday.
Whoa, out? Did you say out?
They're
Are they? Oh, next Friday. Yes,
Release
yes,
next
yes,
Friday.
yes,
Pre-order
yes.
start this
you
Friday.
were freaking out.
I thought I was late. I thought I had to get in the car.
Oh, no.
Is it Thursday at midnight? Is that when they go? Is that when the pre-orders happen?
That's when traditionally they've happened, but it's usually a mess.
They didn't talk about supply for the 6 Plus.
They didn't talk about the supply for anything. I mean, Tim Cook's done pretty well on supply to date.
Not too worried about that, honestly.
Well,
Well,
last
there've
year-
been so many leaks. I have a feeling that they're pretty well into production.
You
I,
couldn't-
the one of the leaks was that the supply on the 5S
6S.
or 6S,
6 Plus.
6 Plus is constrained.
That's fine.
But it's a 1080p
Plus.
screen.
I
That's
can't-
my choice.
I can't believe how many people want
White
that one.
Plus,
Yeah.
Silver
Silver.
Plus.
Are you thinking 6?
I'm gonna get. Well, Gina wants the 6 because
Yeah.
she wants a small phone, and she's at her 5 now for 2 years, is ready to move on.
Yep.
The 6 Plus, I'm gonna get.
You
and then
are?
If I don't like it, I'm gonna take it back.
Wow. You've
What's
put,
the-
have you
what's-
put that in your
What's
pocket.
the return time for it?
30 days.
Okay.
So, like, I look at this and I honestly kind of think, I might use this on the couch instead of an iPad.
Right.
See how minds have changed once Apple releases a 5.5.
I mean, I'm all in on the
Oh
phablets
man,
now.
this is great.
We need to test-
This is so great.
We need to test the big one, so I'll get the big one,
Okay.
and if it's too big for me, then I'll send it back.
All right.
Yeah. And get a smaller
My feeling
one.
is that it's going to be too big.
My feeling is as well that it's probably going to be too big, but I'm going to give it a try for science and for you guys at home.
So Jeremy, what about you?
Oh, I've always said this,
Oh,
and I had a
407.
moment with the optical image stabilization, but when I printed that out, I said, forget it.
Forget it.
I'm going to test it out right now.
my
Put it-
goodness.
take it
It's
for a
just
pocket
silly.
spin.
It's silly. Well, you're a large man.
Sit down.
It makes more sense for you. I'm a tiny man.
I have big hands. I
Yeah.
mean, I can almost, if you
Did you go to
I
the
can
Wall Street
almost
Journal
reach the whole
website
thing.
before you printed this out and try their web app?
like put your hand up on the thing.
Put all your hand up on the screen.
So dumb.
I'm sure it got a ton of traffic.
Of course, it's the Wall Street Journal. Did you see the Wall Street Journal about how hard it is to live on only $400,000 a year? That was a great video I saw the other day. I know it was tough. Apple Pay. This is, I think, the big announcement yesterday. It was the
Okay.
quiet, stealthy.
Yes.
This is the one that, like, if you want to look at shit that's going to make Apple a load of money in the next 10, 20 years, or infinity,
So people
This is the one.
expected a payment method with the last phones, and we didn't get one.
we've been hearing NFC rumors for 3 years now, I think, since the 4 or 4S came out. NFC is a contactless information transfer spec that basically the main thing people use it for is for payment stuff. It's also used, I think, in Skylanders and Disney Infinity toys and stuff like that.
It's also used for pairing
It's also used for pairing Bluetooth devices a lot of times, like headphones or
cameras.
Cameras or like Jambox type speakers, those Bluetooth speakers, stuff like that.
Sending things between phones.
Yes, there are many uses for it.
What makes it different than Bluetooth in that case?
It relies on a near physical connection. So you like Norm and I could bump our Norm's phone has
Bumping,
NFC.
yes.
We could bump our phones together, and then a thing would come up, and it would say, "Hey, Norm wants to send you this thing. Do you want to take it or no?" And you say yes or no.
The proximity is what validates
Got it.
the handshake.
As opposed to Bluetooth, where you have to establish a connection by knowing some sort of shared information, like a passcode or something like that. The upshot is that the 6 and the 6 Plus are going to have NFC. Apple's announcing Apple logo Pay yesterday. Apple Pay. It sounds like it's Pig Latin, actually, when you say it like that.
It says
Apple Pay.
Apple Pay.
Apple Pay.
Yep.
Ig Pay.
IgPay.
Big Pay, Apple
Apple
Pay.
Pay.
They're pitching it primarily. I mean, it seems like the NFC sensor in the phone is primarily being, because they have AirPlay and all the other stuff for AirDrop and all the other stuff for phone-to-phone communication. They don't need NFC for that. It seems like they're primarily pitching this for payment processing using the credit cards that they already have on file. So instead of, if you go to Safeway and you buy stuff from Safeway, instead of taking out your 50-year-old magnetic stripe card, swiping it through the thing, handing the card to the cashier, handing your ID to the cashier, taking everything back, you'll just be able to bump your phone on the dongle.
Did you watch that
there.
part of the
Watched it
presentation?
twice.
Because he asked you if you wanted to.
Yeah, and then it was
Wait, the first part, how difficult it was.
Yeah.
no
to
the
do
second
the credit
part.
card. Oh my god.
So This is a feature that's existed in the Google ecosystem, in the Android ecosystem for like 3 or 4 years now, right?
Yes.
At least 2, maybe 3 generations.
Google Wallet.
Google hasn't been able to make it work on a large scale. People don't use it.
Because there's not enough places.
Is it the Google Wallet? Is it because they didn't partner with MasterCard and Visa? Is that what the problem is?
With MasterCard and Visa.
Yeah. So then
You need the right kiosk things and not all the
so you can't just do it at Safeway with the little thinger that's there.
that you can. Yes.
Oh, okay.
You can.
Do you?
I don't. No.
Do you have a card attached to it even?
I do have a card attached to it, like a physical card. That you, or a
It's the
card
same one
number.
they use for Google Play, right?
Yes.
So I think that the thing that they've done that's smart is made that the default, so that the card that you have hooked up to your iTunes seems like it's going to be the opt out for the Play for the Apple Pay.
The opt out.
You're going to have to opt out and remove your card from Apple Play rather than go through the hassle of adding your card to Apple Play.
So if you buy an iPhone 6,
Apple Pay
is built in, and once you launch the app or you click maybe a checkbox or something, you will be able to buy stuff at places like
Walgreens.
Walgreens.
I think it will say on the beginning when you say, "Do you want to enable location services? Do you want to enable Apple Pay?" It's the new way to pay for stuff.
Yes.
It's more secure. It's safe. Along with all your nude photos, we now have your credit card numbers.
Well, they've
Good
always had your
luck.
credit card
I
numbers.
know.
I wonder if the vendors need new scanner devices, or if they can use their existing
That's one of the
ones.
problems, that the scanner devices.
Well, then there's the NFC. Like anywhere you see a credit card swiping station, like Target or Safeway or whatever, that has that little triangular dongle hanging off the top,
Yeah.
that's an NFC tag
Yes,
place.
and is Apple tapping into some common
Unclear.
standard?
Yeah,
I-
they didn't. Did they announce Target?
They didn't announce Target, I don't think. They announced Safeway, right?
Did they?
I can't remember.
I remember Walgreens. Well, there were a number of
Whole
places.
Foods, Walgreens,
Whole Foods was in
Disneyland.
there. Whole Foods got a huge applause.
Well, San Francisco, Bay Area.
The thing that they did say is that they're working with Amex, Visa, and MasterCard. So you can add, presumably, any of those cards
That's right.
to the passbook.
You photograph the card, and then it checks with your bank, make sure that
and then you
own
go
it.
to your bank and you log in and you approve
They
it.
made a very big deal about privacy too. I don't know how the Google thing works, but if you do purchase something with Apple Pay, the vendor does not get your name, your credit card number, or like your birthday or the
Apple-
expiration date.
And Apple does not see the transaction.
Right? They don't know what you bought. They just see that. I guess
the
they don't
only
see
place to
anything.
get the record is the physical receipt you got or your credit card statement.
They were saying something how they generate a new number for every transaction.
I,
I'm not sure how it all works.
honestly, I would much rather have an emailed receipt or a place where receipts end up so that I never have to take a paper receipt again.
Yeah, I wonder how receipts work if you just get a paper receipt.
I guess you just get a paper receipt, which seems real bass-ackwards when I'm banging my phone against a thing. Like, here's the thing.
Maybe not.
If they can get people to do this, which so far Passbook has been a kind of abysmal failure, and has been responsible for at least 2 dropped phones on my part. I can only imagine how many other people have dropped their phones. Because you're scanning your sweet concert ticket into the Passbook, you hand it to the chud who's manning the scanner,
Yep. Wow.
and they hand it back and drop it. That's $600 down the tubes. It seems like the NFC stuff is mostly touchless. Oh, McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Is NFC.
Yeah.
Spend $400 on contract on a phone so you can get your
Even-
dollar menu burgers.
And it'll be available
Faster.
More convenient.
in the drive-through.
It'll be,
I mean, imagine that if you just pull up to that first window and you just bang your phone on the thing as you drive by, and then you go up to the second
Oh,
window.
my
Think of all the time you'll save.
so this is the world changer.
I don't think this is the world changer. I think this is the thing that is going to make an unbelievable amount of money for Apple
That's
How's
true.
it going to make a lot of money?
because they get a percentage of each transaction.
Presumably.
No.
Presumably. You don't think so?
I think they do this as a way to sell iPhone 6s.
No, I think
I
Will's
think
right.
I think that is a.
Percentage of each transaction.
I think that's why Google was interested in doing this too. Why is anybody? Why would you build the infrastructure to have this service and this product and put millions of these chips in your phones if you're not going to get a piece of the action?
So typically, small retailers will pay 3% for every transaction to Mastercard or whoever their vendor is,
Right.
who has partnered with
or
Mastercard
a flat
and
rate,
Visa.
or a flat
Right.
rate plus percent.
And Apple's probably negotiated a lower rate, and
So this is
they're
their
probably
Square.
going to get the difference between the
Yes.
lower rate and 3%.
This is the end of Square.
Yes, exactly.
Because the other side of this,
Square sends you a nice receipt.
here's the other side of this,
We
is
don't-
that you'll be able to use your iPhone in 10 years when these things are everywhere. You'll be able to walk up and you'll go to the Renegade Craft and somebody will just bump your phone to their phone and you'll give them money.
It'll all be in the watch by then.
You won't have to do. Well, it's in the watch to begin with.
I mean, you won't have a phone. I think your phone's.
Oh,
Gonna
you
be a
think
watch.
the phone's going to be
10
a
years
watch?
from now? Yeah.
Okay, that's a whole different
Sorry.
conversation.
You went 10 years from now. I went with you.
So yeah, this is how Apple becomes $1 trillion company instead of just a few $50-60 billion company. Is by taking.
The point of a sticker trade is to send stickers.
Did he just send an empty envelope?
No.
What did he say? $12 billion in transactions a day.
Is that what they do currently?
That's what we do worldwide
Oh,
in the U.S.
That's a lot of money.
That's what we do in the U.S. on Magstripe credit cards
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, so-
and they're looking at that and thinking, if we can get a percentage of that,
Yep.
that's a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
For doing nothing, basically.
Yeah, we'll see if it rolls out. I mean, what's your name? Norm was saying, it's not really working yet on other carriers.
Well, the difference is traditionally Apple understands how people use stuff. And
Well, people also love using stuff that Apple tells.
that's true.
Shows them, hey, you can do this now.
I don't know. Passbook, man.
Everyone loved trying it once.
I do use it at Walgreens.
Really?
People
Yeah.
use it for their plane tickets.
I wish I could use it for the Safeway card and all that business.
Yeah, I know. I wish you could scan in any card like that.
It would be nice.
Yeah.
That's all I want. Simple. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You take a picture of your card, you verify with your bank that it's yours, then you can use it to buy stuff anywhere that the NFC stuff works, or compatible NFC stuff works. I'm like when we get the phone, I'm just going to go around to every retail place that I've seen those dongle things and bump them and see what happens.
Do you need a 6?
You need a 6 or a 6 Plus. It doesn't work with the
doesn't work
5 or
with 5.
5C or anything
No
older.
NFC.
No NFC in those phones. It would have been amazing if they pulled this out and were like, and by the way, we've had NFC in the last 3 generations of phones.
I fixed it. Would have said, what?
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a big hurdle for it. They're going to sell a lot of these phones, but
It's a slow play. I mean, it's just like Apple releasing the iPod Nano so that they could get flash memory prices down so they could make the iPhone 5 years later. It is exactly the same thing. They're investing now, expecting to make no money for the first 5 years so that 20 years from now they get a percentage of every sale that anybody who owns an iPhone makes.
they should make cash registers. I mean, yes,
They are making cash registers.
yeah,
What do you
yeah,
think the iPad is?
The iPad 2.
Yeah.
Put NFC in the iPad 2.
Can't buy that anymore, can you?
No.
No, but the iPad Air 2 next month
Next
will have
iPad
NFC.
will have NFC, and that's your cash register
Right.
with built-in Apple Pay support.
Or your phone is the cash register. Right. Jeremy's excited. You can sell game frames on the street.
It all clicked. It all clicked in that moment.
Yeah. Soup to nuts. What's going to end up happening is there's going to be a war between Amazon, who has the mail order business, and Apple, who has the retail business. That's where the real war lies. Because Apple will take a percentage of every retail sale. Amazon owns every online sale. So only two companies enter, one company leaves. We could all be using Fire phones 20 years from now.
Oh, my gosh.
Speaking of Fire phones, they dropped the price to 99 cents on contract earlier
99
this week.
cents? What's the point?
99 cents.
$100 too much.
I think they can't make it free.
Okay.
Chloe's coughing. And then the last thing, they announced a watch. It's
All
the
right.
Apple logo
Oh, my
watch.
goodness.
So that's the podcast. Let's wrap it up.
So
How? I was so disappointed.
I watched the picture.
I can't wait to find out why you were disappointed, because you said you were disappointed.
I'm interested in
I was
this too.
disappointed because I didn't want a square screen on a wristband. I have that already.
What did you want?
I wanted something different. I didn't know it. I wanted something I hadn't thought of. I wanted something.
You wanted something
truly
magical.
revolutionary. And it was a.
Kind of ugly watch.
Is it? Yeah. okay,
When
it's
have you
just-
ever seen that from Apple before? Something that you didn't know what it
The
would
iPhone?
and it was
The iPhone.
And were you were amazed at that
The
point?
Oh,
iPod?
wow, oh my God!
Okay.
The iPhone. This was no 2007.
All right.
No.
I agree with you.
Yeah. And this was supposed to be Tim Cook's 2007.
But when the iPhone did come out, people did say, "Oh, it's just a rectangular screen." I don't
Well,
get
I'm sure that. I hope that they're. But I've used this. I've used a rectangular screen.
Yeah.
Right. Before the iPhone, there was nothing like that with capacitive touch, and maybe this the dial thing. So let's talk about the product.
Okay, so it is a small square watch. There's two different sizes. I don't remember what the actual size is.
38 millimeter, 42 millimeter.
Yeah,
Okay.
Good memory.
They come in 3 finishes. It seems like
Space
at
gray.
least.
Well, there's 6
Stainless,
finishes.
So, 6
stainless steel.
finishes.
Well, two of the
Is stainless steel the
finishes are-
space gray?
Stainless steel is a shiny metal, much like
Like the steel?
That's brushed, so shinier.
Okay.
Space black
They have
stainless steel.
black shiny.
Yeah.
They have a silver and a black that's a matte, and then they have two
Those
gold
are
ones.
Those are aluminum.
right, aluminum, and then they have two gold ones.
They have
I
gold-
think the silver aluminum is the way to go. That's the one that I
I think the
looked at.
black aluminum is the way to go.
I'm kind of with Norm. But it's interesting. We all like the sport.
I think the
that's
question.
the aluminum one.
I can't afford the
I think-
18 karat gold. one, I
However,
know that.
there's something that differentiates the sport. It's lighter, but it's the only one of the three categories that does not have the sapphire glass.
Oh, really?
Wait, which one? The sport does not have the sapphire?
That's right.
What?
Yeah, unfortunately not. It has the Ion X glass, which is the same
Same
thing
as
as
the
Gorilla,
phone?
Gorilla Glass.
But only the Apple Watch regular and the Apple Watch edition
yes,
will have
sapphire.
the sapphire.
So is that-
What?
Okay, so let's explain the product line here, because there's three different sizes, right? Or three different models.
Three different
That come
models.
in two sizes each.
Yes.
And 6 finishes per model.
No.
No.
Oh,
There's
Two
six
finishes
total.
per model.
2 finishes
Yeah.
per model.
Yeah, so 4 actual SKUs per model. So you have in the stainless category, which is the Apple Watch,
That's right.
it will be Apple Watch 38 black silver shiny or Apple Watch 42 millimeter black shiny. That's 4.
Okay.
And then same thing along the other lines. 2 colors for each line, 2 sizes for each color.
Okay.
Total of 12 different SKUs.
Okay, so what's the difference then between the 3 lines?
Apple Watch is stainless steel. That is the normal, the classy watch.
Is that shiny or brushed?
Shiny.
Only
Ew.
shiny.
With sapphire
Stainless
glass.
steel with sapphire glass.
That sounds good. I like that.
Sport, I believe, will be the low end one because we're talking about aluminum, cheaper,
Maybe.
plus no sapphire glass.
It's a lighter phone.
and it's a lighter watch.
Lighter watch.
Sorry.
That one will be $349, $350.
These are all the same shape, though, right?
All the
Fundamentally,
same
it's the
shape.
same kind
Yes.
of bulbous curved
Yes,
thing.
all looks exactly the same except
Looks
for
like
two
a
sizes.
gumdrop.
And then on the high end, the edition, you have 18 karat gold or ruby, rose.
It's a rose gold.
Rose gold. Whatever the fuck.
Those are some pretty sweet looking watches, though. And I think you're gonna
Really?
I think you're gonna see a lot of celebrities wearing those watches.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
Well, of course, you're going to see a lot of
They'll get
celebrities
it for
wearing
free.
them. I didn't think so. I didn't think any of these looked okay. Before I get to the bad stuff, I thought that they did a much better job than anybody else who's made a smartwatch, making a wide variety of styles across
Yeah.
a couple across different categories. So you can have something that looks like you would wear it to the gym, or that is like a swatch, like a kid's watch almost, all the way up to metal band kind of duty looking guy watches, like chronometers.
38 millimeters is still pretty big.
It's not even that. It's that it's bulby and round and curved, and most of the guy watches I've seen and the stuff that I wear is kind of a little more sharper edged and not as like these look a little bit like the original Pebble, the plastic one.
Well, a dozen different bands, whatever.
More than that, it looked like there were probably 40 different bands. I mean, they had
They said very specifically, not that many, but yes.
different styles or different styles and colors.
Because
like they had
styles and colors.
I saw 4 different metal bands in that video just pop up. The thing that they've done that's interesting. Okay, a couple of other small things. It's a touch screen, but there's also a
big innovation. This is the big innovation.
They put a
There's two things.
knob with a button.
It's called a crown.
It doesn't.
Or
It's not really a crown.
if
'cause
you're-
it doesn't do what a crown
If you're
does.
English,
but okay.
there was an English video of a fashion reporter who reported on the watch, and she called it a sidewinder.
That's what English people call the cranky thing.
I
on a
thought that was
watch.
much cooler, actually.
the sidewinder.
The sidewinder.
Well, because that's very literal in terms of what it does.
Yeah, but it's also like a missile, so why not? It's cool.
The crown is very like the Rolex.
Here's the thing about the thing. There's also a back button. Seems like on below the crown or above the crown, depending on whether you're right or
Yeah, there's a
left-handed.
button. And the crown itself is also a button.
The crown is also a button. I guess the crown is the back button, and then you press the other button
They said it's the home button.
to go. Okay.
Yeah.
The crown is the home button. Interesting. It's a whole new UI. It seems inspired by, but is pretty dramatically different.
Well, just on the interface topic, real quick. Oh, look at that! Is that? Thank you. The touchscreen is also touch. It's pressure sensitive.
Yes, it's the first pressure sensitive screen.
Capacitive.
Capacitive pressure sensitive screen that Apple has released. Pressure sensitive screen that Apple's
Yeah.
released. Period.
So that's interesting. I wonder how that will manifest.
They say that it'll probably be. The impression I got was that you press it, and it's like a right click. Like
Yeah.
you hold instead of the hold
like
long.
he pressed the pause button and up came context buttons for
So you
what you might
tap
do.
a little
when you
harder.
pause. But I wonder, like, how will you be able to sense where that limit is? Because they could have done that with a press and hold.
Well, you mean physically sense where that limit is?
Yeah, I wonder.
Well, they're giving you feedback
Yeah.
on the screen,
Yeah.
right? So I think my hunch is it'll feel more like a regular button than you're accustomed to a touchscreen feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get a bump when you touch it. I think the more interesting thing is that they have a pretty advanced, what they're describing as a pretty advanced haptic engine in there.
Taptic.
That they're calling
Oh
the
my God.
Taptic engine.
No,
which is a
my God.
terrible name.
Oh, come on.
Someone high-fived in the Apple's conference
Ugh.
rooms.
It's not
for
that.
that one. Taptic.
That'll give
Which
you
is-
information that can provide information without having to look at the screen, which is
So
interesting.
that's just a motor, a vibrating
that
motor.
must have that.
No,
Right?
it's a linear accelerator. It's this
Everyone
kind.
has that, except that this linear accelerator can point in different directions, and so now you have.
That's neat.
It's analogous to the thing on the Steam controller. Actually, that's a linear accelerator as well. The typical rumble motor in a watch now, or is the same scaled down thing from your, say, game controller, where it's an off weight motor that spins at different speeds.
So
Yeah.
linear accelerator gives you.
Talking to the microphone.
Linear accelerator gives you gives you subtle hints as to all your notifications,
Yes.
and it's not just on or off vibration.
One example they
Or
gave
duration.
was walking directions, and you get your GPS and you're walking in a direction, and then suddenly on your wrist you feel a specific, taptic feedback that has to do with left, and so you turn left and you keep walking. You don't even have to look at the directions. But if you get a different piece of feedback that might indicate right, you can just turn right.
The text for these buckle and band descriptions is outstanding. Somebody really I think they must have hired somebody from the J. Peterman catalog.
Yeah.
Well, they hired some from the
Fashion world.
the Burberry catalog.
A small French tannery established in 1803 produces the supple Granada leather for this elegant band. Ugh, anyway.
It's not our market, man. This is fashion stuff.
I think they're actually making. So the thing that they did really well is that there's multiple sizes and a fair amount of variety, even though it's all the same basic design.
Yeah.
So that theoretically you can have something that's kind of personalized in really tight categories. The thing that when Gina and I talked about this last night is the thing she said is, look, she has a nice watch. She's never been someplace where she saw somebody wearing the exact same watch. Since I started wearing the Pebble Steel, it happens all the time. Part of it's because we're in San Francisco and everybody has a lot of dumb gadgets.
And if you spend X $100 on a watch,
You want it to reflect your personal style.
it's also going to be something you're going to use for more than maybe a year.
This was
or
my
2
thought.
years.
Like, especially with the edition ones, I bet some of those are going to crest $1,000.
Oh,
and,
the
and battery.
gold ones,
I mean,
of course.
is
Yeah.
going to be a forever battery plan on that?
And if you buy a $1,000 watch, you're probably thinking you're going to wear that for life. Maybe even pass it on to your kids.
That's not going to happen with software.
But
and
no,
processor
this is something that a lot of people are going to want to upgrade every year.
every 2 years. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the moneymaker right there.
Yeah.
I don't. But it only works with iPhone, so it's only the existing market. They're not going to grow market on smartwatches. I don't think anybody is going to change. I don't think anybody is going to pull someone from Android into the Apple ecosystem on a new phone.
But in this very small demographic in this room,
Yes,
Norm
our anecdotal
he
evidence.
said last week that if the watch was compelling enough, that he would make the switch.
In functionality, yeah.
No.
He's a special case though.
Well,
I just they didn't really show what you can use it for. They showed apps running. They showed a bunch of kind of neat kind of tech demos that it's like I said when Gina and I were talking about last night. She's like, I thought the thing that they did where you could draw the picture and send the picture over to the other person was really neat.
Yeah.
But it's like that only works in the same room with a person. And
Really?
that's
Why?
what it seemed like.
Why?
No.
no.
Oh.
But it's like iMessage.
yeah.
Oh.
So the idea
Well, that's
for
a little bit
that is
better.
that's why there's a dedicated button on the side. Is the communications thing. So it becomes your Dick Tracy watch. When you tap that, you have your contacts, and that's why they've built iMessage, where you can not only send your drawings, which is the novel thing, the heartbeat thing, but also voice messages that you can send to people.
But with the voice messages, I don't want a voice message that's like the iMessage voice messages in iOS 8, where it's a push to hold, and then you send it, and somebody has to press play and all
Well, no,
that.
it's gonna
I
be
want
like-
walkie-talkie. I want Dick Tracy. I want, hey, Gina, I'm going to stop at the grocery store. Do you need anything?
That's basically what it is, except not in real time. I mean, that system.
Real time is what I want with that.
You're
though.
not going to get. Sure.
Why
but
not? Nextel phones did that 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
Maybe you'll get that. But I'm telling you, the voice message, be holding up your phone or holding up whatever the watch is, and recording a 15-second message to someone, and them in their watch or their phone being intuitively able to just press the button, hear it back, and respond in text or voice.
Yeah.
That is extremely compelling right now. Hundreds of millions of people use those apps. That's one of the reasons that Snapchat was bought.
Right, no, I know.
Or not Snapchat. WhatsApp and WeChat. That's voice message, convenience of voice messages. The thing that Steve Jobs promised, visual voicemail, that being super integrated into your UI is extremely compelling.
Visual voicemail has destroyed voicemail.
Sure, and this will destroy visual voicemail.
I think visual voicemail.
And this type of voice chat will complement text messaging.
Personally, I'm more interested in the speech to text. So I want to get the messages that you speak into your watch as text messages, and that is possible. You can do that.
This dictation is there.
Yeah, so that's fine.
But I've always found that dictation on the Google side is much better than the Apple side.
No,
That's the thing.
That's just going to improve.
It's just the thing that's going to happen is, as a species, we're going to get much better at deciphering machine translated, machine transcribed gibberish. Right?
Or better at talking to the machine the way the machine will understand us.
I don't think we can. Nothing seems to have helped that so far.
Oh yeah, when I talk to Google and do searches, the structure of the sentence changes because you know what Google is going to respond better to.
You load it with the keywords that are more specific.
That's what I'm exactly
what I'm
saying.
I know.
So I just want to point out that you can also the tapping works across space as well. So it's like not just the drawing and the messaging, but the actual
So you
tapping.
can bonk and get attention.
Yes, which is a good thing if you are married to somebody who never picks up her phone.
You just tap.
So I can now tap her from across town.
Morse.
See. This is where Gina and I ended up too. This is a useless thing unless we both get one.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's exactly. I mean,
good for Apple.
I understand that's what
good,
they want.
Great for Apple, and it's something that Apple.
We're an iPhone
with
family.
This watch.
I have no doubt we're going to get two.
I just don't.
It's a foregone conclusion.
That's $700 plus.
Yep.
For Apple extra that they're not getting from you next year.
I think this is a product that they're making primarily for women. Honestly, like I look at the watch market. I look at. Does your wife care? Why does your wife not pick up her phone?
Usually because she forgets that it's in her purse and she's turned it off.
Or it's in mute
silent,
or whatever.
yes.
Yeah. Same exact problem. If you're a woman and you carry your phone in your purse, the options that you have are annoying ringtone, making noise all the time, potentially waking up the kid if you have a kid that's in napping age, or never hear the phone ring because it's in your purse and you don't feel the vibration because it only goes off once for 0.2 of a second.
Yeah.
Like I think
You're saying dudes always have it on their person?
dudes have it in their pocket, and or you have the flashy light when it's on your desk and you're wearing headphones. I think that women are much more likely to spend the $350, at least initially, and that's the entry. Because then she'll be like, "Hey, I wanted to tap you, and you don't have to watch."
Well, that's
So,
interesting.
I
Look
think,
at the bracelets.
Well, you're wearing the.
Yeah.
You're wearing the Pebble. It's the same.
There are a lot of very feminine designs on the Apple Watch.
It is
website.
and also the kind of bulbous nature of it is
Right.
a more feminine design.
Yes. However, I can't wait to get one. So I don't appreciate.
Jeremy, we know that you
I
can't
don't
wait to
appreciate
get
what
one.
you're saying.
I'm not saying it's a girly watch. I'm just saying that it is a watch for girls.
Oh my god!
Exactly.
No,
I'm not.
kidding.
Oh
I'm
my
kidding. I'm
goodness.
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
I
kidding.
stop at the
Oh
pink
my
band.
God.
I think that like technology has traditionally been a guy-focused market, and if they can figure out a way to get women to buy stuff that guys and expand their market that way, it's a good thing for them. Smart on them.
So we didn't talk about the Crown really at all, and this new their big dial interface.
I feel like there was a lot of like smoke and mirrors with the demo, and then the fact that they didn't let people actually handle them with software that was working after the event, it tells me how. First off, it's a 2015 product. Early? Did they say early 2015 or just 2015?
Early.
They said early?
They said early.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be start at $350 and go up from there. I assume that the ones that are made with precious metals, which are the higher end models, are going to be crazy expensive.
Well, if you think about when you buy Apple products, iOS products,
Uh-huh.
people buy their phones in September, their iPads in November,
You upgrade your watch in March.
and you
Smart March.
There you go, Smart March.
The Crown I thought was interesting because you've got the touchscreen, but then you need to be able to see it sometimes. So that works well for zooming and scrolling.
Yes.
I thought that was a smart move. It's also something people instantly recognize as something that works on a watch.
I think I approve of the idea. Like the Steel, which I've been wearing for like 2 months now, doesn't have a touch screen. You use buttons to navigate.
Yeah.
I think the buttons actually work really well.
And
with a
where-
tiny touch screen, you're not going to be able to see. Like, you
Whereas
don't want your finger in the way.
The Android Wear has a touchscreen and no buttons. I wish it had a button to navigate.
Yeah.
So the combination of those things, and you can tell by when Kevin Lynch, Apple VP, did the demo, he was using mostly the touchscreen.
Yeah.
Which I was kind of glad to see because all they talked about so far was the crown.
At that point, yeah.
Well, they have to explain why it's there.
Yeah.
It's a big dumb thing hanging off the side.
But
of
at
the
first
watch.
I thought,
Is it really?
it doesn't
I
have
think
touch?
that they're going to do a really great job of matching, at least with their API and their native apps, of matching these and having a really good feel for when you scroll, when you turn that the crown. And the zooming is going to be really satisfying and responsive.
They've always done that. I mean, if
I
you think about what they've done well,
absolutely.
that
No,
knob on the
yes.
iPod is what started this whole thing.
But whether that's going to be a new language for interaction for mobile device,
That seemed a little-
and we're not sure.
What do you mean?
Whether it only makes sense for small screen.
Yeah.
The zoom. But people, when they zoom, the pinch to zoom, you can pinch and pan at the same time. And here you're talking about doing a zoom.
Yeah, and then a pen.
And then a pan,
That's true.
and then the zoom.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem as just
Yeah.
fluid.
The demos that they showed also had what looked like close to 60 or 70 apps loaded on that phone. So one of the big questions that they didn't answer is this going to be a dumb terminal like the car stuff where you connect to the phone and the phone does all the heavy lifting, does the graphics display? I don't really see how that's possible given what they were showing.
They said that there's not going to be actual storage on the phone, on the watch.
There is going to be actual storage
So
on the watch.
it's not just a dumb terminal.
Well-
It plays media.
But okay, so playing MP3s isn't necessarily indicative. If it's a dumb terminal for processing that happens on the phone side, then that means it's not something that needs to be upgraded every 2 or 3 years. It's something you upgrade based on aesthetics. And the way I would want them to treat it is to treat it like the car terminal,
Yeah.
where it's a thing that doesn't need constant upgrades and constant new hardware. They didn't talk about the hardware inside it at all, other than the screen and that stuff, which is in line with what they've done when they announced something this far in advance in the past.
In terms of specs, you mean?
In terms of specs, I would be really bummed if there's a small stripped down version of the A7 or A8 inside that watch that is going to be rapidly outdated, especially at the prices that they're charging for these. If you look at Pebble, what they've done has been really good. It's the same hardware essentially for
That's
2
because the
generations.
functionality
It's very limited.
Very limited by design, because I think the hardware, as stuff comes out, it will be revealed that the hardware is all done on the phone, the rendering and everything.
Or you think?
I think the rendering is all done on the phone.
Yeah.
And I think it has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and that you're going to only get
It
data.
does have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth?
Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and that's going to get data from the phone. And
What's the Wi-Fi for then?
I have no idea, but there is Wi-Fi.
But it seems like it needs the phone to work. Like you need to have the phone with you to do the running and all that kind of stuff.
And that's the big thing. What the functional thing that most people are going to use this for is this activity monitor.
You think?
Yes.
That you mean the exercise?
The exercise
monitoring?
app.
Yeah. That's. I mean, it's super
That was
cool.
the big deal.
It's this total gamified system that they've come up with goals that are custom tailored to your current activity level.
There are apps that do that now, though.
But this is built into the phone with this gorgeous UI.
Built into the watch.
And it has
That's-
this reward system with all these perks and badges that you can earn. I think it's actually going to improve some people's lives. I know that that's a bold statement, but I think that having this watch is actually going to get people in slightly better shape.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jeremy Williams. He's at Jerware on Twitter. If you'd
Well,
like to leave feedback.
I will be a test case because I desperately need to be in better shape. So we will see.
That's true.
Save my life,
The 4
Apple.
sensors on the bottom.
What are the 4 sensors on the bottom, Norm?
4 optical sensors, 2 IR that will see your
Pulse.
pulse in your blood vessels on top of your wrist. This isn't something you're meant to sleep with, but you're meant to exercise with.
You got to charge it at nighttime.
You got to charge it, and that's the big question mark right now, because they didn't talk about battery at all. Is what the battery's gonna be like. It is a full color LCD screen.
They implied what the battery's going to be like.
Full
You're going
day.
to charge it every night. It'll
Yeah.
last a full day.
At best.
And you plug the induction charger on the back.
But there's been more than one article I've read that has said that people at Apple are unhappy with the current battery life, and they're going to do everything they can, probably with software, between now and January to improve it.
Here's the thing. people who are into watches are going to be unhappy with the current battery life until it's 6 months.
No doubt.
Months,
not to mention
days.
the sheer size of the thing.
Yeah, it's real thick. It looks real chunky.
How heavy is it based on the people who got to use it yesterday?
Nobody got to use it. People got to hold
people
it.
got
but
to
they
wear
were,
it.
they were mocks.
How heavy is it based on the people that got to hold it?
I don't think they
yesterday?
got to hold a real thing. They held. It wasn't a working watch.
It had all the hardware.
Do we know that?
Yeah, they had the screen.
Was it just a sticky on screen?
I've
It was
seen
not
very
just a
little
sticky on screen.
interesting coverage about people. doing it.
Um,
That's one reason I want the Sport is because it's lighter.
did they say the Sport would be lighter?
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of the aluminum.
The thing that I thought. So it has an NFC sensor, so you can use the Apple Pay stuff. I feel like the connection between people is the thing that's going to make people want this.
What do you mean?
The 2 fingers to do the heartbeat thing, the drawing the little pictures and sending it to your friends.
Yep.
The tapping to get their
Picto
attention.
chat.
Do you know how my daughter is going to like that drawing pictures to daddy thing? She's going to want an Apple phone. I mean, a watch.
Yeah. You're going to get her
She's
one?
not going to get
she's 7
one.
years old,
she's
right?
Not going to. She's 4.
4.
Not till she's 6.
You're a strict disciplinarian, Jeremy Williams.
Fastest way to get robbed.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're going to have to lock it down so that as soon as you report it stolen, it stops working forever and ever, just like the phones.
Yeah.
That'll prevent that'll theoretically prevent thefts.
I think it's just plain cool to see a new Apple interface. We haven't seen that since the iPhone. Well, I guess little ones on some of the Nanos and things, but this is like a rethought Apple interface, which they're the best at this kind of
The
thing.
bubble cloud interface.
They put their minds on this. It's almost 3-dimensional because things get bigger as they get closer to the top, like a sphere.
Oh, it's just like a nice flash demo.
Can you?
It's a nice Macromedia flash demo. It really is.
No, a lot of those were motion graphics. You can tell that.
Well, I'm saying like flash demos have done the exact same type of UI, with the icons of bubbles that grow and the word clouds and stuff
Dude,
like that.
come on now. You don't be too cynical. They have done a great job with all of the stuff that we saw. And if it actually runs in real time, that smooth, and all the transitions are as nice, that's going to be a joy to use.
I'm kind of skeptical, dude.
About what?
The watch
That's what Steve
in general.
Jobs would have said. It's me a joy to use.
He would say it's incredible.
It's incredible.
And then he would say, isn't it?
I just.
Would you dare doubt me?
So
Tell me, am I right?
What are you skeptical
can
about?
validate me?
Can you use this to make phone calls? Does it have a speaker?
It does have a speaker.
It does have a speaker?
Does have a speaker?
It does have a speaker.
So you can, I guess, yeah, because you can play the voice messages, the walkie-talkie messages from the thing.
And it can relay the camera so you can, get everyone framed. You can see the footage from the camera. So maybe it does
Yes.
FaceTime as well.
It does relay the camera.
Yeah,
It does
that's
relay the
good.
camera.
So hey, if you your selfie pictures,
Well, or if you want to do a group
Group
photo,
photo.
tripod
But I
or
was thinking
something.
maybe it does FaceTime as well. So
There's no camera on it though.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. The activity stuff is kind of interesting. I feel like that's a category that's waning already, though. Like if you look at the once you have the always on motion processor in the phone, which is happening on both sides of the fence now,
Yeah.
there's very little reason to have a thing on your wrist that's going to measure less accurately.
You've probably tried the Nike Band, the Field Band.
Norm did that one, but I did a couple of the
as
others.
good.
That was an incentive to both me and my wife because you have this goal. You have
Are you
this,
still wearing it?
No, you have this bar that's has to complete. And now that it's going to be, my Apple product, I'm probably going to be paying a lot more attention to it. I would take that bet. I would bet you all of your Bitcoin that.
I don't have any Bitcoin.
No Bitcoin.
Oh, you sold off?
yeah.
Yeah,
No.
Norm refunded my money.
Well, I would
I
bet.
was just loaning. I wasn't investing.
I would bet a year from January that we're going to see some interesting metrics on people getting in shape.
One of the interesting things is the picking up, like the fact that it knows what your activity, like whether you're walking, whether you're in the car,
Whether it's sitting.
whether you're sitting,
Working your
that
desk.
kind of stuff opens up a whole world. If they put that on an API level and then tie phone notifications, so if the phone knows I left it sitting on my nightstand and it just goes from silent to not silent as a result of that, that is a really lovely feature. That's
I mean,
something I would really want.
It's the kind of thing that the data extrapolation stuff, it's what the Fitbit does to know whether you're sleeping or not, whether you're in REM sleep or not REM sleep, just subtle
right.
movements. And just the data they've accumulated just refines their predictions of what you're doing. And now Apple has used that to show you and whether you're being sedentary.
I did have a friend who suggested that some of this new app integration where they've opened up the web browser on iOS and other apps to third-party plugins with iOS 8, that was actually their way of getting apps to work on the phone.
I think that's right.
So
On the watch.
I keep saying
On
that.
the watch.
So the watch. So maybe we haven't seen a whole lot of that because it hasn't been open to third parties yet. But it will be interesting to see how your eBay notifications and Twitter notifications and everything comes into your
Well, so
watch.
that's the other part that they touch on. They said that you'll be able to configure on an app by app basis which notifications get pushed to the phone. Right now, the tools for managing notifications on iOS are really, really bad, especially if you have a ton of apps installed, because you have to do each one manually. That needs to be something that is absolutely seamless and errs on the side of not bothering you rather than the side of bothering you.
Yes.
Right. I mean,
Yes.
Because if your notifications aren't dialed in on your phone and you have a Smarch, and you get notifications for every eBay listing update and every mail message that comes in and all your Twitter mentions, and then you'll miss the iMessage from your wife and then be in trouble.
Yep.
So
I bet you'll be able to configure that just on the phone, just like
they said
notifications.
they're gonna be able to configure it. It has to, I hope that along with this comes a revamp of how notifications are configured on the phone, because it's gotten kind of messy.
I wonder if smartphones are going to become a problem in movie theaters.
What do you mean?
Because-
Smartwatches? Smarches?
I can't.
Just call it
I'm not
Smarches.
going to be able to say it.
Smarch.
Smarches. What is Smarch?
Smartwatch.
I wonder if Smarches are going to become a problem in movie theaters because right now people can put their phone away. They
I
put
talked
it on
about this.
silent, but they still get the notifications.
With the Android Wear, I had to take it off before I turned off the LCD, because it would pop up every time I moved my arm to pick up a beverage, like the screen would turn on,
Yeah.
and so I just had to take it off.
Yeah, that's no good.
Even at the lowest brightness, it was too bright. The
There
movie theater.
needs to be a button, a do not disturb button.
Okay, so rounding up, this is a little switch on the side. Starts at $350. Don't know very much about it at all. They gave some demos of communication stuff on stage yesterday. You'll be able to have apps that presumably run on the phone and then have views that show up on the Smarch. Like, I'm a little bummed because the thing that I'm most interested in as a lover of Google Now notifications, if there's no Google Now notifications on the Smarch, it's much less compelling as a product.
Yep.
Because
Siri.
that is Siri is bad.
I know.
Siri is still bad.
And they're building in the the
Dictation.
the thing on the side when you pop up your notifications, like the today.
Oh, the Today
pane.
View.
Like,
Yeah.
that's what they're going to put on
The
this.
Today View, in fairness, the Today View in iOS 8 is much smarter than it has been in the past. Like, it tells me I'm taking an airplane flight tonight and has the confirmation number and all that stuff up here. It's still not anywhere near as good as the Google Now.
Yeah.
AI. As that, hey, you need to leave now to have time to get there and park.
I haven't
mean-
really experienced that.
Well, you don't have a normal commute. So,
Yeah.
like, once Google knows where your workplace is and where your home place is and about what time you normally go to and come from work, it's amazing because it says, hey, there's more traffic than usual today. You might want to leave a few minutes early.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's if I needed to be someplace at a specific time on a regular basis, it would be really amazing. And I think that's about it for the Apple event.
Do you guys think that the two watch sizes are going to be identical specs?
I have no idea how they're going to, like, I would hope that the guts inside all of those watches are the same.
But the screen's going to be smaller. Different, same res, but just a small DPI.
I think that doesn't matter for as much.
No.
I worry. I mean, the bigger one's obviously going to have a bigger battery. I hope that there's enough memory to put a couple of albums on or whatever, so that if you could go running with your Bluetooth headphones, which I don't think anybody really does because Bluetooth headphones flop around.
I think you need
really
your phone.
bad.
You think you need your phone if you go running?
It's unclear.
Yeah.
I would like to not need my phone. Like, I want to know what happens to that thing when you go someplace without your phone or when you walk outside of Bluetooth range with it.
Useless.
Right.
Maybe it'll tell the time.
Hopefully.
I think eventually this will be a product that you won't need to attach your phone to.
I thought it was really funny that they talked so much about, well, if it's a dumb terminal for your phone and the phone does the rendering.
I don't think the phone does the rendering.
Well, you just said that.
It would be much smaller if it did that.
But I think the phone does some of the data.
Well, of course the phone does the data.
So that's what you'll need your phone. And I don't think it'll be able to do much except tell the time, because most of the stuff you do on a watch, as I can tell from the Android thing, aside from the steps tracking, there's no, it's all data.
Yeah.
The stuff you want to do, the communication stuff, is all based on your phone. But I think eventually they'll sell this and it'll be phone
just connect
agnostic.
to
It'll be
Wi-Fi.
iPhone agnostic.
Yeah.
Or phone agnostic.
If it's iPhone agnostic, it can potentially expand the market. If it's not iPhone agnostic, it is an accessory for people who already buy iPhones, and thus is a subset of the overall market of the iPhone.
And I think they'll be successful at selling to that big market, the existing iPhone user base, Jeremy included. And they're going to get $350 an accessory,
that's true.
$350 accessory
plus watch bands and all the
for
other
a
stuff.
phone. Talk about like when Samsung announced Google Gear VR for $200, and that has it been confirmed $200, or that's what people are guessing? $200 for Gear VR. Scoff as an accessory for your Note phone, for your 5.5-inch phone, but big phone, expensive accessory.
Dude,
Apple can do it.
But there's a use case. There's a use case for the watch. It's like a major interface for the watch.
For the phone, it's a new way to.
I can't get these proper nouns correct. Apple Watch. There it is.
Right, iPhone. I'm not. I know that there's a market for watches. I worry that the design of this thing is such that the people who are in the market for $400 watches are going to think that this is super fuggo and not buy it as a result.
That's why they hired all those watch designers.
I don't think they did an awesome job. It looks like a science fiction prop, not a watch.
Next year.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is I saw this and I immediately thought,
yeah,
oh, this is the iPhone 1.
Right.
They're going to change this next year, and this is going to look like a turd sandwich.
You can literally see how it's going to be squished, and it's the perfect first generation Apple product.
I don't know about that, but I think that'll do it for news this week. Unless there's anything else we want to talk about.
Well, okay. When has Apple made it this big of a announcement or big deal of a new product category and then just let it die? The last time.
What? They're not going to let this die. Why would you?
If it's not a big success.
Well, Apple TV, but they didn't make a big deal about Apple TV.
Do you guys honestly think it's not going to be a huge success?
I don't think. I am real bearish on smarches in general.
Great.
So this could be the biggest failure in recent Apple history.
Wow.
If it does not make big bucks.
I think it's going to be.
If they don't sell 1 million of these, it's going to be a big failure.
So here's the other thing to think about is if they have a long history of introducing products just to build the logistic back structure for future things. If this is the biggest piece of sapphire glass they've made so far. They started with the little thing on the back of the camera sensor.
Yeah.
They went to the Touch ID button. Now they're making these big 30 millimeter diagonal pieces. If this lets them ramp up production of that material to the point that they can put it on the front of the phone, I don't think they give a shit as long as they sell enough to ramp up production on the sapphire glass. Like there's part of them that as long as they're covering their cost on the watch, as long as they sell some and get the benefit of the lower sapphire glass cost, they win.
So nanos? This is the nano?
This is a nano or...
How much was... Oh, that's a good question. How much was the nano that people bought to use as a watch for which was a terrible watch?
It's $130, I think, right? Or $250.
Oh, geez. When the nano first came out, it was $250.
Yeah, but this is like 5th generation, and it was $150.
Yes. So you're saying this is Nano 1?
I think this is Nano
with inflation.
This is Nano, but that Nano wasn't the one that Nano came out by the time the iPhone was out. When I talk about Nano, I'm talking about the one that looked like a piece of gum, the white front metal,
the one
shiny
that had
metal back,
the one that had the recall because of the scratchiness.
Right, that product existed solely so that they could sell.
This is that Nano.
This is that Nano for sapphire glass. That's my thought. Is that they're ramping up sapphire glass production. This lets them make bigger and bigger pieces. I'm also super interested to see what app developers actually use this thing for, because that could make or break the whole thing. If there's a Morse code texting app, all the kids are gonna be learning Morse code again. Just tap your watch.
New way to communicate underneath your desk at school.
You could do that with the tap app too. Probably just tap out your message. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm less interested about the third-party stuff. I love my phone for that. The App Store is an amazing thing. Always find something new in there. But the phone, for the watch, I don't know. I'm just kind of interested in that as a notification center. A place to relay information over to my wrist.
That you love using on your phone.
Yeah.
The ones you use the most to have good integration.
I don't know if I do. At all? I guess it's some.
And in terms of notifications,
I don't know what that would be.
Well, okay, I'll tell you exactly. Like for example, when they showed Facebook, you can instead of the notification that you got a friend request, you can then swipe and then accept or deny right on your watch.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to do that if it was just a dumb notification.
Okay.
Like something like that, or a Hangouts message. You can like the thing they've built in terms of these smart parsing of text messages.
Yeah.
so that you can respond with key phrases in the message you received.
That sounds great. I'm just saying, I think I'm excited enough just for whatever comes out of the box. I think it's going to be wildly successful. And I think you're going to see a lot of people with these things on their wrists.
Gary was ready to buy one. Gary was in as soon as he saw the video, the 10-minute video.
Yeah. No doubt.
Watch the 10-minute video again and note how little is actually shown about what you can use the watch for. That's all I'm saying.
And notice that every time Mickey Mouse is on the screen, he taps his foot to the music. It's true.
Wow. I'm going to play the music, and then we're going to talk about what we've been testing. Norman Chan, what is Soylent made of?
Well, it's made of green. It's made of people.
No, but just plain Soylent.
Plain Soylent, a bunch of stuff. Whey, I believe, is in there.
That's true. Soy lecithin,
Something like that.
xanthan gum,
Yep.
dextromaltose.
Sure.
Okay. How does Soylent taste? This is the more important
You'll
question.
have to find out next week. Test premium members.
Wow. You're not going to even give a teaser here?
Here's a teaser. I'm drinking Soylent for a week.
It seems like a really fundamentally terrible
What do
idea.
you mean?
I'm drinking nothing. I'm
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Starting. Well, they say they don't recommend you start with a pure Soylent diet.
But what are you doing?
I'm doing after 2 days a pure Soylent diet for 5 days. So
So you've already adapted from the initial pitch.
no, I've had nothing but Soylent.
Okay.
But they don't recommend it.
Have you had any adverse effects so far? Strange poops or anything like that?
No strange poop so far.
So you've eaten. When was the last time you had solid food?
Yesterday afternoon at 1 p.m.
Like that tasty cake at 3?
I guess
was the last one.
That was the last one.
Wow.
I'm doing a week of Soylent. If you don't know what Soylent is, well, watch the video that comes out. We'll have an introduction to it.
Probably Monday afternoon if I
We'll
had
have
to
an
guess.
introduction to it probably over this weekend, and then the first video was going to go up on Monday. So check it out. It's a great experiment for you.
How does it taste?
Kind of bland.
Does it taste like anything?
I've only had 3 servings of it, but yes, it tastes like powdery vanilla sludge.
Can you add some chocolate syrup to it?
You can add I can add whatever I want to it.
All right.
I'll solicit if you have an idea for what I should add to Soylent. Put it in the
I have
comments
some
below.
ideas. What's the? Okay, just watch the video. It's. Why would you eat Soylent? Why does it exist as a product? Who is this for?
The people who made it sell it as a way for convenient, sustainable meals for people who either don't cook or believe in or vegetarians or
Don't want to
believe
waste
in-
time
don't wa-
cooking?
Don't want to waste resources and want to believe in a future that we can have healthy food that is manufactured from scratch.
And
So
how much does a 3 meals cost?
That's a good question. We got to send it from a reader, so I am not exactly sure.
It's kind of like Jetson's pill food, but in vanilla sludge form.
Is that how
instead
they
of in
ate?
pill food? Yeah.
Huh.
They put they put the pill in the rehumidifier.
Oh, right.
And it blasted with water, and a turkey dinner came out.
That's right.
Oh, Soylent costs. Huh.
Is it cheap at least?
It's relatively cheap. 21 meals, which is a week's long. $70.
What?
21 meals
That's not for one person.
for one person.
$70 a week is not cheap for one person food.
$70 for one person of food for
If
one,
you're cooking
for
your own
every
food?
meal.
If
For
you're
every meal.
if you're eating out, it is not cheap. If you're cooking
If
your
you're
own
eating out, it
meals,
is cheap.
I mean, yeah, if you're eating out, it
Yes.
is cheap.
I eat out a lot.
If
So
you're
like
cooking
$70,
your
I
own
look at that.
meals-
I'm like, oh, that's like 2 days worth of food.
Yeah, so you need to learn to cook. Is the takeaway?
It's $70. No, I'm sorry. Each month? No. Yeah, it's $70 for 7 bags. $10 a bag. A bag is a day. $10 a day for food.
One person.
For $10, you pay more than that for the sandwich you had yesterday.
No, I understand, but that was
mean-
actual food, not powder.
that's-
I didn't have to add water
this
to
is-
it to make it work.
This is their proposition.
This will be interesting.
I'm not a backer. I'm just experimenting with it.
yeah,
Right.
good for you.
I'm
I'm
not
interested
defending
to see how this turns out. I hope that you don't get hurt.
I can't wait to see what you think by the end.
Jeremy Williams, you've
What?
been testing, as have I, the PrinterBot Simple Metal.
Yes.
Norm and I shot a video, which is probably up today.
Tomorrow.
I think.
Today is
Today.
Thursday. Yep.
Yeah.
What's the video about?
The PrinterBot Simple Metal and Octopi.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
talk about the kind of current state of 3D printing. You've been using the PrinterBot, I think, for maybe a week longer than I have, probably at this point, maybe 2.
Well, you built it, and
we
then
built it,
you
and then
put it aside for a little bit.
because we got busy.
Yeah.
Had to go to Comic-Con and build a bunch of other stuff.
You see, you had posted an article prior to this video,
Yes.
and in said article, you recommended a specific brand of tape,
It's right here.
and that solved more or less my. I mean, I'm very happy with that amount of warp. I was getting much worse.
So the thing I'm finding, that the warp is the big problem that I've had with it too. I haven't gone so far as to put a cardboard box over the printer while it's running
To keep it warm.
which is or to keep drafts off of it, basically.
Oh.
Which is the next step.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do the heated build platform upgrade.
It's
on
in
ours
stock
as well.
It's-
It is.
Yes, it just got in stock yesterday. I almost bought it, but I was happy enough with the tape that I have not.
The blue 3M multi-surface painters tape number 2090 is quite good.
Part of why it's so good is it's so thick, and so there's a lot more surface area for it to adhere.
Well, and it lets you can grind the nozzle down just a little bit more because it'll kind of smush flat that first layer into the pores of the tape, which helps a lot. The tape still pulls off of the bed a little bit occasionally, which is weird. I've never had that problem before. Usually it's the opposite, is that the print pulls off of the tape.
Well, that's what I was saying. With the smaller tape, that happens more regularly.
Oh,
with,
yeah.
With this, because there's more tape to actually adhere, it seems to stick better.
I printed that the PLA. This person worked a lot of retail, huh? That PLA,
Spring car?
the spring car.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I had two problems. One is that my wheels were warped enough that they kind of curved back in and touched the
no.
side of the chassis
yeah,
a little bit. So I
yeah.
had to do some adjusting there. The other problem I had was that my spring wasn't super springy like yours was.
That's weird. You did 100% infill.
I did 100% infill.
That's odd.
And I don't know exactly what I did wrong. It may have been that I left it sprung when the friction was keeping the wheels from turning. Did you have to run it some to get the friction to wear down, the wheels to wear down?
Yeah, mine definitely has some friction to it. It's not perfect. Did you print out the big wheels, the big rear wheels?
No, I did the flat wheels.
I did the big ones. They're intended to have rubber bands
Oh.
so that they give you a little extra traction.
No, I did those. Those
Oh,
are
okay.
the ones I did. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Somebody just posted yesterday a conversion of that project to a drag racer. So it does a wheelie.
With great big huge wheels.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's neat. I've been really pleased with the prints I've gotten out of that thing, considering it's a $600 printer.
Dude, I was looking at $2,000 printers. For a $600 printer, I'm ecstatic.
Well, the platform size is really good. It's like 6 inches by 6 inches by 6 inches.
Which this is not quite enough for. This is like a tenth of an inch on either side. It's flat.
Oh, so it's lies.
Yep.
Good to know.
Yeah. So I mean, and when that happens, it'll still try to print outside the area, and it's ugly. It just hits the edge and it goes and just goes along the edge.
Chloe just did something horrible over here.
Keep
Really
it over
smelly.
there.
Oh,
Sorry.
boy.
Problems with dogs.
I'm happy with the printer.
Yeah, it's neat. And I would totally. Are your kids into it? This is the thing I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah. And my 7-year-old son is messes around. I think I mentioned this already with Tinkercad, which is AutoCAD's tool for kids. And
Okay.
it's basically drag your primitives in, and everything snaps well, and you can drag things onto other things, and it like all stacks properly.
Have you loaded up Mesh Mixer and stuff like that to?
What's Mesh Mixer?
Mesh Mixer is a Autodesk program that is free and lets you basically take import an STL and then sculpt it or add or remove things from it. So, for example, if you
How is it different than 123D Sculpt?
it's more fully featured.
Okay.
Like you can use Mesh Mixer to add your own support material if you have something that has an overhang and you want to grow something up and then have it branch out.
Yeah.
You can kind of put that in. So that you don't have to rely on. One thing that I've noticed is that Slicer doesn't do very good support material. It seems like if you have overhangs that are too steep for the
Yeah.
PLA to handle.
What are the
I've-
sculpting tools for Mesh Mixer in terms of like polishing a STL file,
It's
smoothing out edges or anything?
it's kind of high skill stuff. It's not like there's an easy button that you can mash and it just makes things look better. You have to, like, for example, you sent me some STLs that you scanned using the Matterform, which I don't know if you want to talk about today or not.
Next week.
But we, like, they had holes in them where the scanner didn't pick up a part of the scan, and you had basically voids in the surface. It was like a divot that was taken out of the surface. I think we have the print here somewhere.
It's on my desk.
Okay. I was able to open that up in Mesh Mixer and kind of fill in the gaps and kind of smooth over the joins where that stuff went, and then re-export it as an STL and slice it just like I would normally. So that was a really good tool. One of the readers had recommended, and it's a really good tool for fixing STL problems. You also recommended something to me, Microsoft's manifold fixer thing.
I have it bookmarked. They've contracted another company. They use their software. It's a cloud service.
Yeah, it's part of 3D. It's part of their 3D Builder suite,
right? Exactly.
Which is a Metro app that runs 3D printers on Windows 8.1, I think, only.
Any non-manifold STL I get a lot because apparently the MakerBot like fixes that in their software for you. But so a lot of people just upload their STLs to Thingiverse without checking. And if I get one that's non-manifold, I upload it to that service, and it just fixes it, get it back.
So is your son browsing Thingiverse and being like and asking for things to print too?
Too quickly,
Okay.
because they just want it, and but he knows how long they take to print. My daughter too. She has. There was a bracelet that we made for her, and also the spring car was for her.
Okay.
And she wanted a catapult most recently.
Oh, that's good.
Wow.
It's a little dangerous.
Yep.
My daughter comes into the office when it's running because she knows what the sound means, and she asks to be picked up so she can see it working because she likes to watch it go. And then she sits and watches it for a minute or two and then climbs back down and goes about her business. But she waves to it. She thinks it's really neat, it seems like.
So with the mesh thing, can you actually adjust faces on STL files?
Yeah, if you zoom in.
You can't do that with 123D Sculpt. You can only add more geometry to it.
See, I've used 123D Design a lot, but I've never used Sculpt.
Oh,
really.
maybe that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, 123D
Design.
Yeah, that's the.
They're two different. Well, one's like the natural material sculpting thing, like clay sculpting.
No.
And one
I'm
is more
sorry.
caddy.
No, the one I'm thinking about is caddy. Is that design?
Yeah, that's design.
Okay. Well, whenever I uploaded an STL to that, I couldn't adjust it.
No, you have to. You can add like a circle to it or faces, but you can't add.
And you can chip away at it,
Yes.
but you can't adjust its faces.
So with this, you can actually grab a vertex and pull it out.
That's huge.
Which is really good.
That's nice. This is my latest.
You printed
print.
Sean's thing.
Ah.
Whoop, whoop.
So Sean Charlesworth designed that.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Iris.
It requires
Iris
5
box.
screws, but besides that, it's pretty
Nice.
easy.
Iris box.
We do you find yourself printing stuff that is more like no extra parts needed, or are you building a small collection of parts to keep around the house so that you can do things like that?
I had these screws. That's the only reason I made it. I happen to have these from an old project. I don't like usually ones that require hardware.
I think the all 3D printed stuff is pretty neat.
Yeah.
What did you do? So I think you hit the same problem I had with the filament, where the filament extrusion, if there's any tension on the filament as it goes into the extruder, it strips the filament and then won't feed into the print head, and you have to pull it out with pliers or something.
It took. Oh, I didn't have that problem, but I did have I had messy prints because it wasn't constant.
Okay.
So I just got one of their reels, the holders, the vertical holders.
You bought the wooden one?
I bought the acrylic one,
Okay.
which is their universal one. If I end up getting the heated print bed, they make a spool holder that holds the power supply for that.
Oh, that's good to know.
So I might get that.
I just took 3 pieces of wood and drilled a hole through 2 and put a dowel on it.
Yeah,
works
that looked
too.
good.
I don't know if it looked good, but it worked.
I mean, that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's kind of where I ended up. But you're pleased with it. That's the question. I know a lot of people have bought them in the audience, and I know they're probably having the same problems we've had. You also turned me onto the Simple Slow profile, which is the only one of the 3 that they list that worked at all for me.
I usually print at the fast one if I don't care about perfect.
What's
prints.
the fast one?
The standard one.
Oh.
So it's the first one listed.
But that's a 0.1 millimeter vertical resolution.
I changed
one.
it too. But
you changed it too. Okay.
But it works. It prints really well for the speed.
And are you getting watertight stuff for the most part?
Oh heavens no! I've never printed something well. I made what I thought was a vase.
Uh-huh.
But it just
The single-sided spiral one? The
yeah.
geometric low poly one. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't geometric. It's a beautiful design. It did in this nice like translucent red, but now it's our toothbrush holder.
Oh, cool.
It couldn't be a vase.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Never need another toothbrush holder. You can have as many as you want.
Yeah.
Norm, you got a new camera. That video was up on the site day before yesterday.
Yes.
Or maybe
it's the
yesterday.
same one we talked about last week.
The RX 100
still love
Mark
it.
III.
RX 103. Quick jump. David Pogue, who had a private meeting with Apple about smartwatch, says you can use it to make calls directly on the watch, walkie-talkie style.
You know, the one thing we didn't talk about with the smartwatch is that it's unclear whether it's water resistant.
And it is water resistant.
It is water resistant.
Proof?
Okay.
Or resistant.
Water resistant.
That's
is
different.
What
You can't go swimming with it.
So it means you can wash your hands with
you
it
can
on.
wash
now.
your hands with it. Water resistant. Did not say which certification level
Very
it's
good.
going to be at.
Very good.
And then the other
I would bet they don't know yet.
not locked down yet. And the other big thing that that David Pogue said, a ping my phone button on the watch.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you
Like
tap
Find
the
My
watch
Phone.
and then
So
your
when
phone vibrates.
Your
and
phone
makes
gets
a sound.
stuck in the couch. You can find it.
Telling
Yeah.
you.
I need that
You
for
should
the
run a
remote
watch.
too.
Worth $250, $300 right there.
Jeremy Williams, special. Are you still using Octopi?
Only.
Okay.
Yeah, I love Octopi because I mean, one, it like frees your computer up.
Explain Octopi, I guess, is what we should do first, because I don't think we've talked about this yet, have we?
Yeah, I'm sure we have.
I don't think we have on the podcast.
Not at length.
Yeah.
Octopi is the Raspberry Pi version of Octoprint.
Yes.
And Octoprint is a 3D print server that it just works very well. Octopi happens to be completely wireless.
It handles a lot of the stuff. The Octoprint handles a lot of stuff that you use Repetier Host or Makerware or a Replicator G for other 3D printers, like turning on the heater so you can change filament, homing the platform, stuff like that. But because it's network connected, you can access it from anywhere in the world,
Yeah.
assuming your router is set up right.
Open up your router.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got the video. It actually sends out a video stream using a third-party video streamer, and I have that streaming to iView webcam or some webcam app on my phone.
Nice.
So yeah, I don't even have to log into the site. I just launch my app.
Have you had any luck getting so you're using the Raspberry Pi camera, right? Not a traditional webcam?
Yeah.
Have you had any luck at all getting higher resolution video out of that?
I haven't tried. That's what I was hoping you had.
Oh yeah, I tried 1080p and it made the Raspberry Pi real slow and janky.
Oh.
And like crashed 2/3 of the way through a print, making me lose 8 hours of printing. I think.
It's defaults to I think 640 by 480. So maybe try something smaller.
So I tried 720p.
How'd that go?
Not very well. Same thing
No.
happened.
What about like 8 by 6?
I haven't gone lower than that. It's because it's Linux. And there's no X running on that. No windowed environment running on that. You have to use basically command line to change all this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit unclear where the settings need to change. It's not documented particularly well.
Yeah.
I was using a Rev A Raspberry Pi, which only has 2 USB ports. I have a Rev B, which has 4 USB ports, which means I can use a webcam, not necessarily the Raspberry Pi cam. And I'm going to try that and see how that goes when I'm back from Portland next week.
Why can't you use a webcam with the first?
Because I only have 2 USB ports, and I need one for the printer and one for the Wi-Fi dongle.
Oh, I guess that's true, eh?
Yeah,
How about that?
yeah.
You could use a hub.
I could use a hub, but
Yep.
I'm not interested.
With the new Raspberry Pi, with the old one, if you inserted a Wi-Fi dongle, it would reboot the Raspberry Pi.
Okay,
With the new one, it does not.
that's good to know.
Just for FYI.
The neat thing about the Octopi, I figured even if you had to buy the Raspberry Pi, the camera, and the Wi-Fi dongle, you're looking at probably $50-$60 to get everything. And the good thing about that is it means that normally you have to leave a computer plugged into the printer all the time while it's running because the commands come from the computer to the printer.
Unless you use the SD card, which you suggested a couple weeks ago.
I've had mixed results with the SD card just in general on printers.
Yeah.
They're a little tricky. But yeah, so
That's what I like about it. For whatever reason, my computer, which is a nice computer, it's 5 years old, but it's still decent, it would pause the G code.
yes.
Like every couple minutes.
This is on the Mac or a PC?
PC.
Yeah.
Every couple minutes, it would just stop printing. It wouldn't like move the head. It would just stop and then keep going, and you'd get these little divots in the print.
Huh.
No good.
I had that with the Raspberry Pi when I was doing 1080p, so that's why I turned it down.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
I'll experiment more with the camera and let people know what's going on. We'll do another post. Anything else anybody's been testing they want to talk about? Norm?
Can't wait to get the Moto X.
Did you order it already?
Not available yet.
Oh. Are you going to get the bamboo back?
Yes.
Or are you going to get one of the other backs?
Bamboo back.
Bamboo back. Jeremy Williams, you're going with iPhone 6, black, white, space gray, champagne.
I'm going with the iPhone 6, space gray.
And you're going to do 64 gig?
Probably. Because if I go 128, then I'm stuck at 128. Right now, I'm happy at 64. I could use the extra space.
Stuck at 128.
Yeah, because you don't want to downgrade with the iPhone 7. Or what? Sorry, what I guess it'd be
6S.
9. Or whatever. Yeah. So I don't know. Probably the 64.
Okay. Good to know.
What about you?
Probably white, silver.
That's funny. I thought white was for girls.
I like white on a phone.
Yeah. That's just interesting.
I mean, it's not like a watch. It's not all bulbous and weird looking. It doesn't have a pink band.
I'm not saying I'm getting the rose gold.
I can't afford the rose gold. Who are you kidding?
You got baller checking.
It's just because I have baller checking doesn't mean there's anything in there. On that note, let's take some questions.
Emails?
Well, but we do the other one.
Emails.
'Cause it's, we don't do emails. We do
Emails?
No. Questions. Boom.
If you have questions for This Is Only a Test, we don't have any audio questions today, Norm. You don't have to put your headphones on. You're good.
Huzzah!
You can send them to podcast@tested.com. Keep your questions brief. And here's the first question. Hey, Will, Norm, and Jeremy. I know you guys review a lot of phones back in the day, and I wanted to know how easy it was to switch between phones and operating systems in terms of keeping contacts, SMS threads, photos, etc. I know Windows Phone syncs all of these through an Outlook and SkyDrive account, but what if I wanted to switch from Windows Phone to a M8? I don't know what an M8 is.
Android
HTC phone. Is this process easy? Hope to see you guys down my way in Melbourne, Australia sometime. Thanks for the hours and hours of entertaining podcasts, Ryan.
Yes.
Staying within an ecosystem isn't too hard because your contacts and it's one of the reasons I use Google for contacts, mail, and calendar, because then that stuff just syncs to everything except for I think Windows Phone. They had some problems for a while there, but I think that's all worked out now. And that just works. I'm getting text messages between ecosystems is hard, if not impossible. Especially
even between phones.
Yeah, even between phones. With the iPhone, you can back up and restore, and you'll get it. But then there's
You mean your history?
Your history, yeah. The rise of iMessage and Google Hangouts made it difficult to go between ecosystems quickly because you get an weird iMessage limbo. It's less of an issue for Google Hangouts because you can install the Google Hangout app on your phone and get those proprietary text messages on iOS, but there's no iMessage for Android. So if you get stuck in iMessage limbo, you have real problems, and some people just won't be able to text you. So if you rely on text messages, it's hard to go from iOS to Android. It seems like those problems are a little bit resolved, but I still occasionally hear horror stories about people that iMessage thinks they're still a valid iMessage user, and people what happens when you get in that limbo is that people who are on iPhones or iPads and send you text messages, it goes to an iMessage account that you no longer have set up on any devices, and then it seems like the message is delivered, but the person who's getting it never sees it, and it's challenging to get out of that.
Yep.
Norm, you didn't have that problem when you switched over, though. I don't think.
I did have a problem, and then I had to remove iMessages on all my iOS devices.
So you don't have
Never set it
iMessages at all anymore?
Oh, no, I have them now, but they only go from phone to phone.
And it's
not tied
via
to my phone
email
number.
address, not by a phone number.
Not tied to my phone number.
Yeah, that's the key. Anything else? Getting photos and stuff isn't terribly difficult. Dropbox makes moving between phones and ecosystems really easy because all that stuff's in one place. The big gate for me is password manager because I use 1Password, and without that on my phone, I'm pretty much boned. So if there's not a good 1Password client for an OS, then it's problematic. But there's other KeePass and LastPass and stuff like that have better Windows Phone and Android clients than 1Password does necessarily. Anything else I'm forgetting, Norm?
Yeah. I think this is honestly this is like one generation where people who have the 5S do not need to get the 6. iOS 8 is going to give them most of the things they want and need.
iOS 8 is a really, really good update.
In terms of like hardware updates, where Touch ID was the big thing, I don't think there's anything in the 6 that, aside from if you really want the bigger screen,
Or payments.
Or payments.
Or 240 FPS high-speed video.
At what resolution?
Probably 720p if I had to guess.
They didn't say.
Yeah, they did. It's listed.
It's 720p at 240?
Yep, I think so. And now there's 1080p at 60.
Yes.
1080p 60 is a big deal. I have another question. This one comes from Guy. He says, "Hey guys, my wife and I use the iPhone 5S and an iPad mini. We use mail for our email and various apps that require passwords and logins, but we still use a desktop or laptop computer when using internet banking or when purchasing from websites. Part of this is familiarity, but there's also a nagging feeling regarding security that is probably unfounded. Our bank has a banking app that looks like it would be very useful, so we could be keen to give it a try. Can you tell us what security measures are built into the apps and phone and how they compare to using a computer with updated software and malware protection? Thanks, Guy from New Zealand." He also really liked the Jamie and Adam tour when they were in Auckland last week. Basically the security stuff that you use on your phone and your computer are, for all intents and purposes, the same. You're probably safer on the tablets or phones because you're less likely to have malware installed that does kind of man-in-the-middle attacks on your information as you type it in on the phone, as you type it in on the keyboard, and it goes from there to the banking service or online website. I mean, that's just like, if you're worried about security, then you probably shouldn't do banking online. But your phone, I think, is probably safer than your tablet, than your PC at this point.
Use two-factor authentication wherever
possible. Yeah.
Don't click random links in emails.
This is 1997 advice here. If you sign up for porn sites, use a different email address. I haven't reset up my finger for login.
Yeah,
on this. I only did one finger.
Damn with you, man.
I just put the final version of iOS 8 on last night, so I'm left hand only.
You also?
Yep.
One more question from Sam.
Because we had to restore.
You had to do a clean. Yeah. Sam says, "Hey, I know you guys always get a camera question every week, and it's been a while, so here's another. I'm currently in the hunt for a new camera with a rough budget of $600. Cheaper is better, of course, but we'll also go a little higher if it's worth the jump. I've been using the Canon T2i for about a year and enjoy that for what my needs are, which involve pretty standard shoots. The automatic mode usually works great, and I typically use it for vacation and more recently for interviews and tours of breweries I visit for my craft beer website. I've noticed that the Canon T3i is relatively cheap online at $500 to $600 with a basic lens. So to try to shorten this email, I need a relatively cheap camera that gets the job done and is possibly as compact as possible."
Canon T3i. It's a good pick.
Do you think to stick with the SLR?
Yes.
Okay.
Why T3i?
T4i, the upgrades were not worth it. Sensor is almost.
I think that it's up to like 5 though.
So maybe it was the 4. It was the 4 or the 5. Or don't get the newest one.
Yeah.
Get 1 year back?
Yes.
Okay. Kate from Oxford, UK says, "I'm thinking back to what was wanted of the consumer version 1 of the Oculus post Kickstarter, and I would like to know if the Samsung Galaxy VR meets all that we wanted from the CV1, and if not, in what way is it different? I think I probably should have listened to Palmer and Nate when they said wait for CV1 because it looks like it's here and I get a Note 4 in the bargain."
Oh gosh.
Gear VR is not CV1. Don't get the Gear VR thinking that's going to be your Oculus experience.
There's a lot of attention on Gear right now, but just wait. I think
Yeah.
once we get to Oculus Connect and a little closer to CV1's release, that's going to become like the real holy grail.
This one is, "Hey, Will, Norman, Jeremy."
It doesn't say that.
It says in guest, this one. Sometimes it says in Jeremy, though. You're a regular at this point. You're part of the team. You're on board.
That's sweet.
I've been inside my iPhone 4 on several occasions, and it's always worked fine afterwards. Lately, I changed the power button bracket, the sensor cable, and the home button switch/cable. All of these work like new, and I'm certain all connectors are applied properly, but the last operation, the Wi-Fi, GPS, and Bluetooth, has halved its range and accuracy. Do any of you know what might be the problem? Yes, you didn't connect one of the antenna wires when you're putting it back on, because it has multiple antennas inside there, and if you connect one but not the other, then halving sounds about right. Part 2, I've done this maintenance.
Could it be a new channel? A different channel?
Probably not.
No.
Probably it's, if he took it, I assume he's saying he took the iPhone apart.
Yeah.
And was monkeying around inside, and those connectors for those antennas are very small and difficult. You might have gotten one in backwards.
Yeah.
I think they can go in backwards. I don't remember how it works in the 4, but in the 5 you could definitely do that. I've been holding off on the iPhone 4 for the iPhone 6, but because of the above, I'm tired of waiting. If I'm buying today, what phone should I buy? My preference is, okay, dude, wait until next Friday, then buy an iPhone 6. That's the answer. I don't know if it's on sale in Sweden, but that's my advice. That was from Rasmus in Sweden, by the way. Rasmus is the most Swedish name I've ever heard, I think, except for Sven. And then the last question says, during one of the tested builds 3D printer videos, Norm's Ubuntu running home server was mentioned. I also have a home server running Ubuntu, so maybe Norm can elaborate a bit on what software he uses with the machine and maybe give us some tips. Thanks, Wes from the Netherlands. We're very international today.
Wow.
Plex. Plex is the best thing you put on Ubuntu.
Is that mainly what you're using?
Yes.
Do you use it anything else? Do you have like
Don't
print
use it for
server or anything
backup.
on it?
Don't use it for print servers. I don't have a printer, and don't use it for backup.
We don't have a printer.
Where do you back up?
I back up with Backblaze.
Oh, just online.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why would Norm have a printer?
You guys don't have printers?
I have a printer because my wife wanted a printer.
I don't know. We still print things from time to time.
You printed the iPhone stickers.
That's right.
You
That's
do have
useful.
a print server. 3D print server.
You do have a 3D print server. That's
Yeah.
correct.
I don't know. You know, you guys aren't alone. I have other friends without printers. It just always surprises me.
So I have a laser printer because Gina used to be a work-at-home person.
Yep.
And it's been handy because it has a scanner and multifunction fax and all that stuff. Never use the fax anymore.
No.
The scanner is useful every time I have to do an expense report. The printer is useful every time I need a piece of paper with words on it that I don't want to write by hand. I really like. I look at color inkjets, like photo printers, like nice photo printers, and think that's something I could actually probably use. But then it's so cheap to just send those out and have them mailed to you that I kind of don't bother with inkjet printers.
Yeah. I don't know. We make as many copies as we do prints. Maybe it's just schools, papers, and stuff like that.
Oh, you probably do have more school stuff.
Just paperwork.
So I think that'll do it for us today. Thanks for watching, as always. Jeremy Williams, you're at Jareware on Twitter.
At Jareware.
How's Game Frame stuff going? Are you on the home stretch for this now?
I am building the last of the game frames tomorrow and Friday.
That's got to feel good.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, it's a little bittersweet, actually. But I'm super happy to be done building them.
So what's next? Game Frame 2?
Well,
Game harder? Frame harder?
Yeah, let me give that one some thought.
I wore my Game Frame t-shirt the other day and got compliments when I was at PAX. So
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's cool.
people like it. It's a good
That's
shirt.
nice.
Norman Chan at nchan on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
What's coming up on the site?
Coming on the site, we have some technology stuff. The 3D scanner next week, Haswell system testing next week, and also a week of Soylent.
How's your arcade build coming?
Electronics this weekend.
Oh, you're gonna put is that the final stretch? What comes
It
after
is
that?
the final stretch, but it is a stretch.
You promised me the spinner in episode 3, and it didn't come.
No, didn't come.
Are you gonna do a spinner?
Yes. That'll be in
Uh,
episode 5, actually.
Have you addressed ventilation for that
Yes.
cabinet?
Yes.
Okay, because
Yes.
that was watching those videos. The first thing I thought
There is
was
ventilation.
It's gonna get real hot in there. You need a fan.
Yes.
You need a fan. That CRT gets hot.
Yeah.
I'm Will Smith on Twitter. We'll be around next week. I don't have an outro today because I didn't bring my laptop. I forgot my laptop. I left it at home. I brought the wrong one.
Yeah.
This is the peril of having identical laptops with your wife. So I'm going to play an old outro, and we will see you guys. See you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Positive feedback on iTunes, all that business.
Shall I beatbox?
Hold on, it's thinking. Is it going to play? Can you beatbox really?
That was Norm.
That was Norm. Oh, this one's not playing. Wow.
How about that?
That wasn't what I was expecting at all. Okay, we might not have an outro.
I thought of
Play
some-
the intro again.
Can we pretend we did an outro?
How
Wow,
does the outro usually go?
Norm, when was the last time you listened to the outro? When Anna was here?
Nope.
No, that's the intro.
I just thought of something else I was testing. I wanted to tell you about after the outro.
Okay.
Do you want to know?
I'd love to know.
I got a Roomba.
You got a Roomba?
Yeah.
Is
Why
it
did you-
2002?
Exactly.
Jeremy, why did you not wait for the new one? The
Oh,
Dyson.
God.
Oh no! Because it's going to be so expensive. It's like $1,000.
Oh, is it? Jesus.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
really
That's
expensive.
ridiculous.
And
It's
it
a
al-
Dyson, of course
And it
it's
only runs
expensive.
for 20 minutes. Like, the Roomba runs for like an hour. And it's perfect. I am so happy with Roomba.
but you have cats.
No, but it lives at the assembly plant.
Oh,
So it's been-
wow,
it's
it's
been-
your coworker.
It's been getting so messy over there. Like, you can't even walk with like socks on because there's just dust and
Gross.
particles everywhere.
Yeah.
So I set up the Roomba every night at midnight. The guy cleans and he does a fantastic job. Super happy with Roomba.
So
Wow. There you go. Which model?
770. I did like 5 minutes of research, put it in my cart, and then I did another 48 hours of research.
After you bought it.
And then
after-
I just clicked buy. It was the right one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How much does it cost?
$450
Oh,
shipped on Amazon.
that's a lot for a dust. Does it have an actual vacuum now, or is it just a sweeper still?
I don't know.
How often do you have to clean it out?
I would say from my space, I probably should clean it every 3 times.
That's not too bad.
I mean, I clean it every time.
I can't remember who it was. It was somebody we used to work with at Future had one of those, and they went away on vacation and came back, and it had gotten a piece of yarn stuck in the sweeper.
Oh.
So it drove around the living room, pulling a ball of yarn.
Yeah.
And when they came in, or string, the picture that they took looked like a psychotic spider web all through the floor of their room at Roomba height.
Yeah.
And where it had wrapped around tables and chairs and legs and all that stuff,
Yeah.
and just made an unholy mess. That's my Roomba story. It's not even my Roomba story. It's somebody else. I think it might be Chris Emily, but I can't remember. So no outro today. Sorry, guys. None of them are playing. We'll see you guys next week.
Congrats on the Roomba.